I apologize, Paul. We had to come back. We have to quit and come back. So that's why yeah.
No, I understood that.
Okay.
That's fine. Do we know each other at Tropicana, or just confusing you with another person?
No, I always wanted to, well, I'm a social worker. I always wanted to apply there, but I also always refrain myself to not, just because I didn't think I would have a chance, especially um, because of the population the organization serve.
Okay.
Yes, but no, I don't think we met. But maybe
Okay.
through these meetings, I'm not sure.
Okay. I mean, uh, yeah. I mean, there's somebody you really, really resemble. We work while I was in Toronto with Tropicana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, community service. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but that's fine. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Nice to
And
meet you.
finally, nice to put a name. Hello, Michelle. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. It's good to see you. It's been ages.
Really, really ages. Yeah. How are you doing?
I am doing well, thank you. And I trust you're doing well too.
By God's grace, we thank
Yes.
God. Okay. How are you doing?
I am doing well, thank you. And I trust you're doing well too.
Sorry. It's already live. So hi everyone. Hi Melanie. Finally, nice to meet you. Hi Fatmata.
Yes, my dear, can you hear me?
Yes, I can perfectly hear you.
How are you? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this info. Thank you so much. You've done a very fantastic job. Thank you.
You're welcome. I tried.
Yeah, you did it, man.
Okay, I'm just gonna get this link, YouTube link, and then send it to you all. So maybe you might want to share it somewhere. Okay.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Tony.
How you doing?
Tony, how are you?
I'm good. Hey, Fatmata, how you doing? Good?
Yeah, my dear.
Okay. What I wanted to say, Doctor, sorry.
Bonjour, Tony.
Bonjour. Hey, Dre, ça va, Dre? Oh my goodness. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Oui, oui.
Un moment, s'il vous plaît. Oh my goodness. What did I do? Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Sev, ça va? Are you okay?
I don't know any French, but I know how to say ça va bien.
Ça va bien? Ça va bien?
Yes, ça va bien. Yeah.
Et toi? Et toi?
Et toi? Okay. I have to. Oh my God, 17 people are waiting, and I'm just busy.
Okay. Sev, I know you're busy. You're in your zone, so I don't want to interrupt you too much. But
yes,
you know, I have a very French, big French accent. Maybe Dre can help me, or I need to ask a quick question just to make sure I say the name properly. Because, you know, people are very sensitive. Like, for example, my name is with an accent, but I didn't say anything to you, Seb. I didn't want to bother you with that. Ligonde with an accent, but I didn't want to bother you. Did I say it properly? Dr. Tanya Tichkuski? No, nobody's answering. Okay. Doctor, I know Dr. Ajay. Did I say it properly, or I should say Aji? Good evening, sir. Good evening, doctor. Okay. I don't know if I can hear it. Fatmata, did I say it properly? Do we say Dr. Aji or Ajay?
Ajay, sorry about that. I was trying to turn on the mic. Yeah, the D is silent, so it's Ajay.
Ajay, yeah. I just want to make sure.
And you got Tanya's names also right.
So Tanya's name, and I will, because she wanted me to introduce her like Tanya, but I'd rather say doctor because everybody else who has a PhD, they ask to be called doctor.
Oh, well, here, that's okay.
Okay.
Hey, Tanya, good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see everybody.
Hi, Tanya.
Yeah. Good to
Hi,
see you.
everybody.
Hi,
Hi.
I'll be there shortly.
Oh my God.
It's been century. Oh my
Oh,
God.
it's been so long, Paul.
Yeah.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
I'll be
Hi.
there. I'll be
Hi.
back.
I can't. I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Oh my goodness. How are you?
Oh God. I don't know if you can. Let me see.
We hear you, man.
Can you hear me now?
Oh my God.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
How are you doing? How are you? Hi. Oh my God. Everybody's fine. Oh my God. I need to have a tissue. Please.
I could make like a secret base or something.
3 days ahead. Oh.
Hi, Tana.
Hi. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Professor Day.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Professor.
Hey, hello.
Hello.
Can you give me tissue paper?
Hello, George. Hello,
Hey,
Paul.
how you doing?
Good.
Hello, Nana.
Hi, hi.
Yeah.
Hello, Nana.
Professor.
Ahmed, how are you doing?
Good, good. You.
Good.
Paul, where are you right now?
St. John's, Newfoundland.
Okay.
He's a whole acting D now.
So great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you too.
I've been reading your work lately too. It's I love the directions you're going.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Hi, Paul. And everybody else's work too.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Ingrid.
You remember me, Paul?
Of course,
I was your professor.
Yes, you taught me the principle of
So
anti-racism.
I demand respect this evening.
Exactly, and you always have it. It's so funny. We are so close, and yet
Yes.
we've not been able to see each other.
Yes,
Wow.
we haven't seen each other at any conferences or anything.
No. We were 2016. Remember 2016 Rising? We presented together.
Where?
Rising University, Congress.
Did we?
Yeah, 2016. We were on the same panel.
Congress, right? Oh, was
Yeah.
it a mental health thing?
No. I think it was something that related to anti-racism at Rising University.
It was at Ryerson.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember. Yeah. Are you liking where you are, the city?
Yeah.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I am.
It's not too slow for you.
I think I'm now used to. Initially, it was really hard for me, but I've adjusted to it, and I'm good now. Yeah.
Good.
Christine Pearson.
Yes.
Christine. Wow.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Christine.
Hello,
Christine Pearson. Christine, do you remember me?
Of course, I remember you.
Oh my God.
Never forget you.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Christine, aren't you at Halifax?
No.
South Shore, Queens County, Nova Scotia.
Oh.
So I'm in the quiet life too.
Yeah.
Is that where you're from?
No.
Oh.
No.
Great. It's so great to see you. Gosh.
No, Nova Scotia was, my son got a job teaching here, and we just came and we love it here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just wait.
Hello.
Hello.
This is
Hello.
Kopina checking in. Hey, my
Hey.
people. Hello.
Okay.
I just wanted to see if the sound is going to come through clearly.
Okay.
Does that come through okay?
Oh,
Yeah.
Beverly Jean.
Okay.
Hello, Beverly Jean. I don't know how to type on this.
Can you hear this if I'm doing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the other one? Right.
Hi, can you also let me know if you hear, sorry. Can you please tell me if you hear what I'm playing here? Just give me 1 minute. I'll open the song.
Yes.
Let's see.
Ooh.
Can you hear it? Can you hear it? No?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
It's very low though. It sounds like a radio. It's coming through very low like a radio.
Seb, you are playing my song.
Is it? Yeah, I was just testing. Sorry about that.
Yes, just
Sounds like it's playing inside a room. It doesn't sound like it's the direct. It doesn't sound like the direct sound. It sounds like it's coming from a radio and you have a microphone in front of the radio. Yeah.
Nana, just hold on, please. Let me go to mute, please. Just hold on, because I'm there, but let me go to mute. Just bear it. Fiona? Fiona?
Hello?
Fiona? Fiona?
Oh, I thought you said Fiona. I'm sorry, Tony. I thought you said Fiona.
Yeah, it's you. It's you. It's you, Fiona. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything you did. I know it was, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you as well. It's always good to talk to you.
Thank you for everything that you're doing and you did. Thank you. Thank you for everything. I'm putting something for you, okay? Everything you are doing. And
Good afternoon.
Hi, Cindy.
Nice voice. Christine and Carrie. Wow. Very, oh my goodness.
I know.
Wow. This is wonderful.
Family reunion.
I know.
Yeah. And look, I'm wearing our outfit that we wore for Nana's mom's funeral in Ghana back in 2015, because I think this is such an incredible moment. So I wanted to sort of celebrate this time with everyone, but it's so lovely to see you all.
Happy to see you too, my dear.
Yeah. Hi, Christine.
Hi. Hi. This is just a love fest. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. We're going to start with the land acknowledgement. I believe Marie Carmen should be here.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Seth. Can everyone hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. The sacred land on which we stand has been a site of human activity for over 15,000 years. This land is the territory of the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, the Seneca and the Mississaugas of the Credit River. The territory was the subject of the Dish-with-One-Spoon-Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Toronto is also home to a large Indigenous population, including residential school survivors and intergenerational family members who have been impacted by the history and legacy of the residential school system. It has been 1 year since we find ourselves navigating this historically familiar moment of viral infection and life loss. As a racialized woman and mother and caregiver, I want to come to acknowledge the land by reflecting on the power of caring for one another, our elders, and the younger ones. I acknowledge the land where my children are growing as I commit myself to mother in the service of Black liberation and Indigenous sovereignty. Now more than ever, we need to care for one another. Beyond reciting a land acknowledgement, I invite everyone to think about what these words mean to each one of us and where we are located, both in our complicities and our collective responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria Carmen. So good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for joining this virtual memorial. When Nana asked me to plan this for Roslyn and Pamela, I thought remembering our two members with friends and family in these extraordinary times was a very meaningful way to honor them. I appreciate the opportunity to be part of the planning, and I appreciate the opportunity to give back to the community. And I also want to thank everyone in our large, caring, and critical community who have helped me in so many ways over the past few weeks to make this event possible. So Tony will be chairing the event tonight. She's an SJE student. And so before further ado, I will pass it to Tony.
Tony, you're muted.
My apologies, because I was speaking to Nana before. So I'm so grateful to be here in this space, and I would like to welcome. We would like to welcome guests, students, faculty, staff, family members, and friends. It is a celebration of the life of Ms. Pamela Addo and Dr. Roslyn Thomas. So without further ado, we're going to start with the opening remarks, and they will be delivered by Dr. Beverly Jean Daniel. She's an assistant professor at Ryerson University, and she was a classmate of Dr. Thomas when they were pursuing their PhDs.
Good evening, everyone. It is so wonderful to see so many familiar faces. And thank you so much for the honor of the opening remarks. Thank you all for joining us to celebrate the lives of Teresa Addo and Dr. Roslyn Thomas Long. Dr. Day, Nana, Dr. Wayne, you have once again provided a platform and a space where we can come together as colleagues, learners, friends, and family. There is nothing in your job description which dictated that you needed to provide time to create this oasis for us, but you took your role seriously as elders. And for this, I offer my sincerest gratitude on behalf of everyone who's here today. To all of you who have joined us tonight, welcome. Although I did not know Ms. Addo personally, the reality is that another beautiful sister has gone on to her homegoing journey. And to her family and friends, I offer the best wishes to you on behalf of everyone here tonight. When I was told of the passing of Dr. Thomas Long, I felt a shiver, a disconnect that I had not experienced in a very long time. I have known Roslyn for more than 25 years. And folks, let me clarify, she and I met when we were 10. So don't age us too much. We completed the master's and the PhD journeys together. Over the years, we lost contact. And it is in the moment of hearing of her passing that I recognized that so many of us who had bonded during our academic journeys had lost that connection. I want to take this moment to remind all of us about the power of connection, and at the same time, the sadness of missing out on so many of each other's lives. In African culture, it is said that when a person dies, they become part of our ancestors, not as a memory of our past, but as a carrier of our future. The ancestor is expected to live with us and communicate with us, to be our guide and our protector. For those of you who knew Roslyn, you can never question or doubt that in the same way she was our guide during her life, she will continue to be an ancestor for generations to come. For each and every student or friend she supported and guided in this life, for each person she helped to build a better life, she has endowed them and us with the gift of success and possibility that will pass on through families for generations because of the ripple effect. Roslyn has reached into the future in many ways that can never be measured, but also cannot be minimized. Anyone who remembers Roslyn in the halls of Oise will remember this tall, slender, hat-wearing, British-sounding woman who always greeted you with the warmest smile. Not only was she always stylishly dressed, her smile completed every outfit she wore. There were so many Friday evenings spent in the study that George had organized, where we were able to contemplate the binders and binders and binders of readings that George had assigned. But we were able to do that while sharing food and community and friendship. I still believe that the reason for the food was included was to ensure that we never complained about how many readings we had to do. But in the midst of it all, Roslyn was always there to share a dish, a hug, words of encouragement with her smile, reminding us that we were cared for and loved. Roslyn was that big sister to those of us who didn't have one, and she was also the big sister that we all wish we had. She was always willing to step in and support to help calm frazzled nerves, which she accomplished quite easily given the quiet and soothing nature of her voice. Her kindness was not restricted to those of us who were part of our study group. As her body of work shows us, she continued her dedication and commitment to everyone who needed support, including students who were experiencing varying forms of marginalization, as she tried to figure out how to get students the financial help that they needed. Roslyn was also a mentor, and there are many people who are here today who can and will attest to the role that she played in supporting and guiding their careers, and the fact that she never left their side. As we gather here today, I urge all of you to think about how can we carry Roslyn's legacy forward? How can we use this moment of celebration and loss to think about what Roslyn would have wanted for each of us individually and for us as a community? Let us think about Roslyn and how she engaged with people. Let this memorial be a gathering for family and friends, a celebration of life, and a time for the community to be in solidarity to regain its identity. As we witness the many crises in the world today, let us remember the importance of staying present and showing up for each other. I say thank you to all of you joining us here today to celebrate the lives of these wonderful sisters. And I end with these words. Sometimes our final days may be a test, but remember me when I was at my best. Although things may not be the same, don't be afraid to use my name. Let your sorrow last for a while. Comfort each other and try to smile. I have lived a life filled with joy and fun. Live on now. Make me proud of what you'll become. Welcome everyone to the celebration of life.
Thank you, Dr. Danielle. The music tribute is from Kobe Aqua Harrison. He is a renowned award-winning Ghanaian Bermudian multi-instrumentalist, composer, maestro, and producer. Kobe is currently executive director at Embassy in Toronto.
possible.
Thank you. Thank you, Kobe. We will now have tributes from people who knew Pamela. They will share their memories of her with us. Dr. Rosalind Hampton teaches in the Department of Social Justice Education at OISI.
Good evening, everybody. Is my microphone okay? Can people hear me? Thank you. I've prepared a few words so that I will not succumb to emotion. I had the great pleasure of working with Pamela in a number of settings during the last school year, and I'm especially grateful that she took a course with me last winter in which we studied the stories of Black women's lives and how they and we narrate them. Over those months, Pamela's critical thought, energy, and passion seemed to increase with every week. She engaged so deeply with both the autobiographical and the theoretical readings, and she really put everything into her own life context and talked about it in relation to her family and her own experiences. Every week she came to class with such focus and so many questions for all of us to consider. And there were many times that I lost myself in the brilliant conversations between Pamela, Miggy, Maddie, and Elaine. Pamela studied with her whole being, always attentive to those around her and always operating from a place of deep relation with her family and a deep knowledge of herself. Drawing on our readings about Bessie Smith, Pamela recalled a high school librarian who had once hurtfully excluded her in front of her classmates. Pamela felt that that experience and others like it just taught her that, like Bessie, she knew who she wanted to be, and she would not allow anyone else to define her. She said, Bessie Smith was rough and Black, and she didn't care. She relished in her moonshine and her buffet parties, and she refused to let bougie people and their benefactors erase her choices. And then she turned her attention to remembering that librarian, and she said, why you tried to erase my existence, I will never know. All I can say is, I guess you should have tried harder, sucker. And she added that she knew sucker wasn't really a scholarly term, but it felt really good. It's so special to have to be, it was so special to have been able to teach and learn from Pamela and to be able to draw on and share the joy and energy of that experience with everyone here today. Another of Pamela's favorite texts was by Edwidge Dandikat. Dandikat writes about how written and spoken words can transcend geography and time. And she reflects on living away from her parents, receiving letters from them, and how those exchanges kept them connected. In Haitian Creole, Dandikat says, when someone is said to be l'autre bout de l'eau, on the other side of the water, it can either mean that they've traveled abroad or that they have died. And she explains that growing up in Port-au-Prince, her parents were l'autre bout de l'eau, on the other side of the waters from her in Brooklyn, New York. Dandikat knew that her mother was imagining every day of her life and dreaming and assessing what she needed to know, and only that she could tell her daughter. Pamela loved this very much, and she deeply felt and understood what Dandikat was describing. She told me all about how her own mother always included handwritten letters in every card she sent for any occasion. She told me that these letters were always written with love and care, sensitivity and compassion, and how important these letters were to her. She understood her mother's choice to write on a separate piece of paper rather than directly on the card as a separateness that was a way of creating togetherness, and teaching her that sometimes those little things that just happen to fall out of nowhere can be the most valuable things of all. Pamela explained that those letters always kept her connected to her mother, no matter where they were. She drew on her mother's words. She said, "They sit on my shoulder as I walk through the world, and I draw on them when I need to exercise my own form of resistance as a racialized woman." She said, Pamela said, "I want to know how I can better use my words to heal, soothe, and comfort others. I want to know how I can demonstrate the compassion through words, written and spoken, that my mother has demonstrated to me. I want myself to know that through my mother's words and deeds, she has forever planted a very valuable geography within me, geography that forever links me to my culture and to my ancestors." Pamela may not have realized it, as she was already achieving this with her words. They have helped me to mourn and have brought me such comfort. So many opportunities to reflect and laugh and to remember Pamela. They carry me right to the end of my remarks here. Right about this time last year, after studying the writing of June Jordan, Pamela wrote to the late poet. She structured that writing in a rhythmic, loving declaration, a series of affirmations and validations of moments that June Jordan shares in her childhood autobiography. And Pamela concluded in writing to June, "I love that your spirit was never broken and that you knew that you could always rely on yourself and that you would survive. I love your wit. I love your strength. And I love that you were eventually able to just be you, June Jordan, period. Rest in peace, June. Keep spreading love in heaven." And together today we can say, rest in peace, Lot Bodlo, Pamela Addo. You and your beautiful, beautiful words will remain with me always. You're muted, Tony.
Thank you, Dr. Hampton. Dr. Vanina Stenbach is an assistant professor teaching stream. She has been teaching in the Department of Social Justice Education since 2013.
Thank you, Tony. And thank you, Sev, for organizing this, and the Learning Circle, George, and for giving us this opportunity to celebrate the lives of Roslyn Thomas Long and Pamela Addo. Like many people here, my paths crossed with Roslyn, and I remember that beautiful smile that Beverly talked about. And my heart is with everyone here who loved Roslyn. But I'm here to talk to you about Pamela Addo, because I know many of you did not have the good fortune that I had to meet Pamela, and some of you had, and know just what a beautiful person inside and out she was. I first met Pamela when she took a course with me in 2018, and Pamela made an impression right away. She was always so present, so curious, so happy to be in dialogue, so generous. Her encounter with the work of Audre Lorde, the Black lesbian feminist poet, was deeply moving. It was like she had found a kindred spirit. Audre Lorde shared her interest in exploring the relations of the body and spirit, intellect and emotion. Pamela shared Lorde's outrage at the injustices of the world, and also the desire to bask in all its beauty and joy. In particular, she was struck by Lorde's articulation of the power of the erotic as the sharing of joy, whether physical or emotional, psychic or intellectual. And just to give you an example of this, I remember when we had our last class and folks were invited to bring in food, and Pamela just made the most delicious cookies, but she didn't just bring in the cookies in Tupperware like most of us would have, and no judgment with that. But Pamela brought it in this beautiful gold platter that just it showed that appreciation she had for the pleasures of life, the aesthetic. She made the moment more beautiful for all of us. And I still remember those cookies. And I know that some of you who are here today probably also enjoyed the cookies. And I'm thinking of some of her friends like Irina and Kristen, who might be here. I was fortunate to speak to Pamela a few times during the pandemic, and she lifted my spirits during difficult times. Our relationship shifted from an academic one to friendship. And she told me how she was enjoying reconnecting with folks online and also with her family. She shared, for example, she let me know of some places where you can play games online with friends and how to share, how to liven up this quarantine that we're in. She was also planning a children's book, which would feature a young Black boy and his bicycle. And she was so excited to have a chance to explore this creative side of herself. And I was really looking forward to seeing what this book would look like. In December, Pamela emailed me to say that she'd like to have a chat with me. And I was happy to have, this opportunity to connect again. On this call, she informed me of the severity of her illness. And it's hard to describe how I felt at that moment. I felt deep, deep sadness, sadness for Pamela, whose life was shortened being cut short much too soon. And also I felt sad for myself and the huge loss that I could sense was imminent. I was sad for her beloved family. Pamela always talked about her family, and she said that she had won the lottery. They really enjoyed each other's company so much, and they really took care of her. Her sister's brother, her niece, and her nephews, her parents. And I can tell at her memorial just by the way her niece and nephews talked about just this amazing auntie who took time out to do so many things with them, to dedicate special time with them, and to also be their mentor and encourage them in their endeavors in life. And I could tell that her light shone so bright that they are still warmed, and we are still going to be warmed by her. And although Pamela was very weak when I talked to her, her sister was actually holding the phone. She was concerned for me, and she wanted to make sure that she wanted to make sure she was straightforward with me, and that's the kind of person she was. She was the one that was caring for me. And she also wanted to talk about how she might finish her major research paper. And she was planning on that she would have been working on it this term. Her topic, and this is very poignant, was on the impact of racism in the workplace on Black women. And looking back on it, I realized, and going over her writings, I realized that she had already made a tremendous contribution. So I would like to end with Pamela's own words. She wrote, and this is from a paper that she presented at a colloquium in our department. She said, "Under what conditions can women of color embrace the erotic in the workplace without risking repeated injury? Under what conditions can women of color embrace the erotic and still feel safe in a white dominant workplace? Should Black women have to mute the colors of their canvas in order to be palatable to the white settler society? While these are important questions, my deepest intuition tells me to look inward first. Once I've finished that examination, who knows what insights will surface? And while I know I have a long way to go before I can imbue the streets with love, I do know that we all need to work together in order to shift the energy in spaces, places, hearts, and minds to effect meaningful change. Perhaps just one drumbeat and one heartbeat at a time." And I just would like to say rest in peace and power, Pamela and Roslyn. And I like to think of Pamela and Audrey are dreaming new worlds together right now.
Thank you, Dr. Steinbach. Elaine, Miggy, and Maddie worked closely with Pamela in one of Professor Hampton's Black Studies classes. They are friends and colleagues of Pamela and are grateful to share this time and space with everyone this evening. Hélène, Maddie, Miggy.
Hello. Thank you, Tony. Good evening, everyone. I'm Maddie, and I'm happy to be here this evening with you all and with Elaine and Miggy to be remembering Roslyn and Pamela. So it is with great sadness, but also gratitude that we are here today to remember Pamela and Roslyn, members of our community whom we greatly miss. Today, we would like to say a few words about our friend and colleague, Pamela Addo. We met Pamela last winter when Miggy, Elaine, and I took one of Professor Roslyn Hampton's Black Studies courses. We were so lucky to learn and work with Pamela. Our discussions were enriched by the wisdom and insight that Pamela brought with her. Pamela always spoke fondly of her family, her sisters, her brother, nieces, nephews, all of her family. Pamela's passion for her work and social justice was palpable. Pamela has a beautiful, beautiful heart. She exuded warmth, goodness, and comfort. And she brought love, care, and laughter to all who were graced to have known her. Pamela's untimely passing is devastating. However, we are so fortunate for the time that we got to share with Pamela and be here together with everyone. We took a course one winter and met a lifelong friend. In this course, Professor Hampton invited us to form groups to meet with every week, both in and outside of class, to discuss course readings. And this marked the beginning of our friendship with Pamela. Pamela, Miggy, Elaine, Zoe, a friend and former SJE student, and I were in the same study group called the Cool Cats, which is indeed a cool name. Since day one of learning and reading together, we knew we were lucky to learn and work with Pamela. Her smile and her sense of humor brought out the best in us. Our discussions of readings by Black women writers, scholars, and activists were enriched by the wisdom and insight that Pamela brought with her. She was always so generous with how she related to the writing that we read in class, sharing stories of her family, her upbringing, and her work. Her openness encouraged an openness in us too, and the time we spent together in class may as well have been time spent together outside of class in a cafe in the city, getting to know each other and laughing, reflecting, and feeling emotional about the world together.
We took a course one winter and met a lifelong friend. Pamela emanated grace and fierceness. She discussed her research and social justice interests with amazing elegance, and she loved her family fiercely. In our Cool Cats group chat, after our course had passed, she sent us a message. We were at the beginning of our first COVID-19 lockdown, our moods beginning to grow tired and less hopeful for the future. But Pamela sent us a message to share good news, which was just like the Pamela we had gotten to know in class, a radiant energy, embracing her everywhere she went. With many heart emojis and exclamation marks that gestured toward the beautiful effervescence that seemed so characteristic of our friend. She told us that her nephew was drafted to the Ontario Hockey League that morning. She had mentioned her nephew before, remarking how proud she was of him, of her other nephews and nieces, and of the rest of her lovely family. Pamela's light knew no boundaries. Her kindness greeting us over text message, her thoughtfulness hugging us, hello and how are you, in the virtual world. Just when a pandemic was beginning to tell us that closeness was not possible, Pamela came through with finesse and grace, letting us know that closeness was possible. We know that this is not the last message she will send us, as we know our memories of Pamela will continuously remind us of the love, the care, and the passion that can course through a person. We know our memories with Pamela will continue to leave us messages for how to love and care for others, while pursuing the social justice issues that so often leave us feeling angry, sad, and deflated. Her message of love and care surfaces again and again for us, so that there is no last message, but always a continuous conversation, our light laughter together floating beyond our classroom, beyond Oise, beyond dimensions.
How do we honor someone who has touched our lives? How do we honor their memory through the stories we tell? These were questions that we kept returning to as a study group. How do we honor Pamela and the multitude of ways she has touched our lives? How do we honor Pamela's memory through the stories we tell? These are the questions that bring us together today as we express our gratitude for all that Pamela has given us. These are the questions that bring us together today as we express our sadness. And these are the questions that we will never stop returning to. We took a course one winter and met a friend, a lifelong friend. At the end of each of our classes, Professor Hampton invited us to write a letter. And so here is our letter today. Dear Pamela, thank you. Thank you for being our friend and colleague. Thank you for your wisdom, your grace, and especially your love. We miss you, and you will be remembered forever. With love, the Cool Cats.
Madi sorry, I hope I said it properly. Develes, Migi Estaben, Elaine Kagulada. Thank you very much. Elizabeth Addo is Pamela's sister. She will speak on behalf of the Addo family. Pamela's mother, father, sister, brother, nephews, niece, and cousins.
Thank you very much. Pamela always said people bring their whole self to work, to their families, and to life. It is the whole Pamela that I, on behalf of my family, Alberta Newton, my siblings, patients, Kwame Judy, nephews and niece, Theo Kofi, Grayson, Ethan, Noah Jordan, and several cousins and aunts wish to share with you today. Pamela was born in Montreal, Quebec, and spent her formative years growing up in a small northern Ontario town in Garson, Ontario. From a very early age, we all recognized that Pamela, with her poise, her global lens, and her inquisitiveness, and a powerful sense of self, would move south after university, where she earned her Bachelor of Arts in English at Laurentian University. Her time in Garson was punctuated with excursions to Ramsey Lake, where she enjoyed spending time frolicking in the fresh body of water, picking wild blueberries in the blueberry patch across the street from her home during the summer. This was not exactly a top 10 favorite summer pastime for her or for us, but with our tight sibling bonds and our propensity to get into shenanigans and create jokes, our blueberry picking outings were fun, not to mention the enjoyment we shared when we were eating the fresh blueberry pies, muffins, and pancakes. Pamela and our brother Kwame settled in Toronto after university, and Judy and I followed suit after we finished university. With her generous spirit at one stage in each of our lives, Pamela hosted us at her home until we were able to land on our own 2 feet. Judy, who is the youngest, likes to recall the early days of exploring Toronto with Pamela, shopping at the Eaton Centre, visiting the O'Keefe Centre, watching ballets, and sharing laughs over a hot fudge sundae. And she adds, we spent every single weekend together for years. Our early days of the Addo siblings in Toronto hold loving and fond memories for each of us. Pamela was a skilled and gifted writer and had worked in corporate communications at a variety of publishing and corporate companies in Toronto. My brother Kwame shares the following about Pamela and her skills for the written word and editing, and I quote, "My sister had a gift for writing, which is evident from her chosen career path, writing first for a weekly industry publication and in communication positions for several other organizations. She was the family editor, recruited willingly or sometimes unwillingly to help improve our written work. She could be a ruthless editor, but in the end, her contributions always made for a better product. I remember one project that she helped me on when she wrote, I strongly suggest that you follow my edits and you need to stop placing commas willy-nilly throughout. That instruction has stuck, and you can rest assured, Pammy, that my comma usage can no longer be described in those terms." One of Pamela's best and biggest legacies is the love and a relationship that she had for her niece and nephews. As an aunt, she cherished this role and embraced and loved her niece and nephews to the depths that is equal to the love that my brother and sister had for their children. With her many titles of Auntie Pam and Tia Pamela, she was always present and fully engaged in all the milestones and special occasions connected with our niece and nephew, the birthdays, the graduations, and simple day-to-day events like movies, soccer, family dinners, or babysitting, while the parental units were out of town. In fact, my sister Judy was often the last to know about the side deals that her children made with Auntie Pam for movie dates, outings, for snacks and treats, and the baking of special treats like chocolate-covered popcorn. A common phrase that was often heard was, "Don't worry, Auntie Pam will do this," or "Not to worry, we checked with this," or "Auntie Pam will do that." As an older sister, Pam had a very special spot for me. Some might, I might say that I was her favorite. As I am the creator and the author of this tribute, the boundaries of my poetic license is endless. We spent a lot of time together going to TIFF, sharing meals, skating and hiking, and taking many excursions, watching live theater, and just generally hanging out. Her warmth and love for me was in abundance. In the last stages of her illness, she remained my biggest champion. As I struggled to meet my comprehension deadlines, as all of you can appreciate, Pamela insisted on using her limited energy on climbing several flights of stairs to be in the same space with me and offer me the following advice, as only a true older sister could. She said, "Elizabeth, you need to stop crying and get writing. You got this." And that was the Pamela, the ultimate supporter and encourager to the end. Being here with you tonight through these tears makes me smile as Pamela spoke fondly of experience in Professor Day's study circle. As a student, she was very keen. Her enrollment in her Master's of Education was a true joy, and the learning richly added to her life. Not to mention the sheer joy she felt on receiving her plethoras of A's and A pluses. Her combination of excellent writing and her ability to apply the social justice lens to the sphere of corporate Canada was impressive. We'll never forget our daughter, our sister, our aunt, our tia, our cousin and friend. We are truly comforted by knowing her memory and legacy will live on in each of us. Thank you.
Very good. Fantastic.
Thank you, Elizabeth. To the Addo family, please know our prayers and thoughts are with you during these difficult times. Now, we're going to go, sorry, because there's a little bit of a change, so I just need to make sure of something. Right now, Nana would like for you to listen to a bit of music that he likes and is from his favorite musician. So we're going to listen to this music right now. Sorry, anybody, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, because I cannot hear it. I don't know if you heard what I said.
We heard that you're going to share some music from Nana's collection.
Yes, yes, Nana would like us to listen to a song that he selected, but we're going to wait a little bit if you don't mind. It's going to come soon. Oh, we cannot hear the music. No, we cannot. Sorry. Please bear with us.
I'll be back if you can put my stuff in the oven maybe, or if you get it, or just leave it out, I'll warm it up after.
Hi, Tony. You stopped screen sharing and the music stopped as well.
Oh, it was not, it's service sharing, sorry. Please bear with us still. Thank you. As you know, when things are live, there's always something happening. So please be patient. She will try again to put the music. A few moments, please. I would like to, okay. Oh, it came back.
It is also on Dad's computer.
Okay, thank you very much for your patience. We will now have tributes from people who knew Dr. Thomas. They will share their memories of her with us. Professor D, as we call him Nana, is the director of the Center for Integrative Anti-Racism Studies, and he's a professor in SJE. Nana Studies Group put this event together under his guidance, and this is Nana.
Let me, on behalf of the study group, thank everyone, and in particular Seb for taking on the role to organize this. I also want to thank everyone for showing up and seeing all the faces. I just want to, when I saw carry on, the room, it just touched me so much. I requested a song. I requested a song to be played. The song is about a bird that flies without a mother and without a father. But it says anywhere it falls to die, they should be buried on that land. 2020 has been a very tough year for all of us. And I know we are all in pain. You know, there's a current song playing in Ghana that talks about sometimes illness and death play these silly games. Illness picks up a fight with death, knowing that he's going to lose in the long run. Well, I don't think death will have the last word, because Pamela and Roslyn, Pamela and Roslyn are going to leave our memories. My colleagues and the students have all spoken very fondly of Pamela and her family, Elizabeth. You know, Pamela was assigned to me as an advisor when she entered the program. And we had quite a bit of chat about her academic and career goals. She also attended our study group meetings regularly. She was very, very desirous on doing a doctorate. And she seemed to have mapped out what she wanted to do, as Vanina was speaking about. She mentioned when she came to me that her sister, Elizabeth, told her I was her favorite professor at OISI, but warned her not to take me away from her. We developed a bond, and I'll never forget it. But I have a message for Pamela. If she thinks she's gone scot-free without her doctorate, she's lying. The faculty at OISI are going to expect her at some point to submit her dissertation for the doctorate. And then there's Roslyn. There's Roslyn. It's so difficult to think that she's not around with her smile. We are all blessed to have known Roslyn, to learn from her, to share, and for her, to journey with her together. There are so many memories that I just want to highlight four. And I know Carrie and Joki would see where I'm coming from. Roslyn did a master's and a doctorate with me as a supervisor. We had other colleagues working. So on her MA, she worked on graduate assistantship. That was what her MA was about, graduate assistantship. And I always felt that she was watching closely what I was doing with my GAs. So it looked to me like she was doing a sort of Spanish Inquisition to see how we handle GAs and that. And I always kept telling her, don't worry, my GAs do the work. And then she says, they will see. And then secondly, she came to do the doctorate, which was on graduate funding. And some of you in the room would know, I mean, Carrie, Njoki, Michelle, Leroy, and others, Melanie, Alana, you all will know that some of the ideas that Roslyn was speaking about in her doctoral dissertation also shaped the conversations for the University of Toronto, given that funding initiative to graduate students. In fact, the students in our department were at the forefront of that politics to get students funded at the University of Toronto. But the third memory also is with a study group. In her last visit with the study group, she prepared a meal, but brought a meal to my office to keep it there before the study group. And I don't know, maybe sometime, maybe she thought I would start eating a little bit of it. So she said, don't worry, Nana, I prepared a special one for you, so it's here. I guess that was not to tempt me to touch the one for the larger group. But finally, and this is point of personal privilege, this is more about when my mother and my daughter died, as Cindy was saying it a bit earlier on. I recall starting with my stepdaughter, Roslyn would come and you know how she talked. That time I was not Nana, I was George. Georgia, how are you? How are you doing? How are you doing? And that's her soft voice. And she would always call. And then when my mother died, I wasn't in Canada, I was in Ghana at the time. And she was in Grenada. But she called from Grenada to me in Ghana to express her condolences. That was the person that she was. The caring, the always loving, and the most appreciative. She was a person who always remembered where she came from and never forgot the people who she shared ideas acknowledgement. Roslyn has been part of igniting the fire in our own academic souls. In the sacred places where she is at the moment, I know her enduring spirit, her soul, and her heart will continue to light places for us all. I know she also carries an important message to heaven, a message which contains our dreams and our hopes to fight for a better community, for a better world, and for a better place for everyone. We just wish that the Almighty, the Creator, would take care of her and take care of Pamela and all our departed dear souls. But in closing, I have one last request for the Creator, that in heaven, she should let Roslyn teach a course. She should let her teach a course. And I know Pamela will be her student. My mother will be in her class. My stepdaughter will also be in her class. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nana, thank you for this beautiful speech. Before that, I was muted, so I just wanted to give the proper introduction to Nana. As you all know, Professor Day, as we call him, Nana, is the director of the Center for the Integrative Anti-Racism Studies and professor in the SJE. Nana's study group put this event together is under his great guidance. As you also have seen or observed, this series of tribute is for people who knew Dr. Thomas. They'll continue to share their memories of her with us. Our next speaker, Dr. Yoki Wayne, professor. Wayne is appointed chair of the OISI department of SJE.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony, for the opportunity to share this space in memory of Pamela and in memory of Dr. Thomas Lang. I got to know of their passing 2 days apart, and it broke my heart. And I remember screaming, and one of the members of the family coming and saying, "What has happened?" And I remember, I can't believe this. I cannot believe this. Professor Day, if we're in the same room, I'll come and give you a big hug and comfort you and tell you that your prayers, your words are being listened to by Roslyn in terms of teaching the course that you have expressed, and the people will be attending it. So I'll start sharing just a little bit in terms of Pamela. Pamela took 2 of my classes, and the depth with which she expressed who she was and how she articulated her ideas, I always, admired her. And many students in class left everybody in awe. I remember the class she took on spirituality. She wrote up something on land acknowledgement. And the symbol that she used was a Ghanaian symbol symbolizing God. Moving words. And later on, I said, "Where did you learn this from, and that's when she told me about, again, she always referred to her family. She always referred to the teachings that her family gave her and the grounding that she had in terms of who she was as a Black woman and her ancestry. So she said, "Oh, I learned this from my parents, and yeah, we know our roots, we know who we are." And although I never completely connected with her, because usually, and Professor Day knows, our classes can be very, very big. I had 45 students in the both classes. So I wasn't privileged to really get to know her. But looking back at what she did, the work she did, she was a brilliant person. And it's interesting that the last conversation I had, she had introduced me to her sister Elizabeth, because she told me, "No, you should interview my sister. Because my research on Black women in leadership, you should interview my sister. She'll give you excellent insights." So it's good to, it's very unfortunate that I'm meeting her sister under these circumstances, but I'll still get to you, and then you can share a little bit more about your sister, who was a beautiful woman, beautiful soul, beautiful in everything, and walked with grace, with her head up. She was, I mean, it will be very, very difficult to forget Pamela. Roslyn, we go a long way, and that's why it has been very difficult. We go a long way. And when she completed her PhD and she was looking for a job, I was part of the panel, the search committee that we recommended her, and she got her job at TYP because she was a fighter. She wanted every child to be given a chance. She wanted every Black child to be given a chance, and we all celebrated when she got that position teaching at TYP. And I'll always remember when I went on sabbatical. So George, Dr. Thomas Lang actually taught a course for us in the department. She taught my course on cultural knowledges, representation, and colonial education. And I remember, her beautiful smile. She said, "Joki, I would like to offer some insights into how we can reorganize this course." She always had that deep, deep, deep smile in terms of, how the course should be reorganized, how it can speak more to the issues of colonialism, from different perspectives. And what I would say about her is, Roslyn was a stellar scholar. She was deep when she spoke to you. She was so insightful. She was such a resilient person, and her smile was contagious. The last day when I met Roslyn was sometime last year after the lockdown, and I had gone to the department, and she was in the computer room. And in that computer room, again, she smiled, she was doing her work. And she reminded me that we had a collected, we had an edited collection that she and I were editing. And she asked me, "Joki, when are you finishing this book?" So I do owe her a book that we are editing with her. And I will solicit, help from the people on the screen who will be willing for us to complete that book in her honor. And there are many, many other things that I don't want to speak about in memory of both Pamela and Roslyn. And once we finalize what we are doing within the department, then we'll share with the public, because we would like to create a legacy to remember those two great women from our department. And to her family, she was a jewel. She was a lovely person. I'm talking about Pamela. She was everything. As you can see from the students she joined and worked with, and they became bonds. You can see Venina, whom, you know, from a professor to a friend, and that was the type of the daughter, the sister, the auntie that she was. The same thing with Roslyn. I spoke to a very, very close friend of the family. Again, she's referred as that auntie, that sister, that person, and friends cherish her. So it's a big loss to us, and we'll find ways of keeping those memories of the two women alive. Thank you, Tony, for giving me the permission and the chance to speak.
Thank you, Dr. Wani. I just wanted to say to everybody, we are under a time constraint or restraint, so we need to be mindful of the time, unfortunately. So our next speaker, Dr. Alana Butler, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Education, Queen's University. She's a former classmate, research collaborator, and dear friend of the late Dr. Roslyn Thomas.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to thank SEVG for organizing this, as well as Professor Day. I first met Roslyn in Dr. George Day's class 20 years ago when we took anti-racism education. Just like Roslyn, we both fell in love with Dr. Day. We loved his class. He was a mentor. He was a role model to us to inspire us to become academics. I believe Dr. Stanbrook is another one who was in that class. Roslyn was the first one to encourage me to pursue my PhD. I remember when Dr. Day was working on his project called Learning to Succeed. She was tasked with putting together a research team. And to this day, I have positive memories of that beautiful team led by Dr. Day. Some of the people are on this call right now, but we collaborated on the book together, and it was the start of a friendship that was a lifelong friendship. Dr. Thomas was a brilliant scholar and dear friend who wrote a book on the politics of graduate student funding and had many other publications. She was both a role model and a mentor. Whenever I ran into her downtown, because I had spent some time studying in the United States and I wasn't always in Toronto, and whenever I would run into Roslyn, she was always with a student. It was always helping a student with an essay or something. And what I know about her is she was often with TYP students. Dr. Thomas absolutely loved her students. She was very passionate about teaching and learning and mentoring her students. She was so proud of her students. I heard so many stories of her students, and finally, maybe years later, I got to meet some of them. Dr. Leroy Baker, Dr. Michelle Bailey, Carla Rodney, who's an incoming PhD student, Fatmata, who's here on this call, and others. I was in close contact with her during her final months, and she was, as always, enthusiastic about teaching and was searching for a teaching position. The last I saw her was in the summer of 2020 when we were practicing for a Zoom interview that she had for an upcoming interview. It was sometime after that she disclosed her diagnosis. Still, after her diagnosis, she was very positive and was still interested in working with students and still mentoring others, despite her failing health. I am very grateful. In fact, I'm forever grateful to Dr. Melanie Knight for visiting her in the hospice and allowing me to say my final goodbyes to Roslyn. Roslyn will always inspire me, and I feel like I can honor her memory by trying to support students like she did. She put her heart and soul into it. And Roslyn, Dr. Thomas, I love you, and may you rest in peace and rest in power. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Butler. Dr. Marlon Simons is an associate professor at the Work-Lud School of Education. I hope I said the name properly. Simmons, I think.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I want to begin with saying to Nana and the study group, thank you. Thank you for this invitation to share in this event of in memory of Pamela, Addo, and Roslyn Thomas. To share some thoughts regarding our special friend and colleague, Dr. Roslyn Thomas. I'm honored. I'm honored and humbled to share about Roslyn. You know, Roslyn, you know, we shared many conversations during our doctoral work, spanning from around 2005. And, you know, given the invitation to share today, in thinking about you, Roslyn, the words that came to me, thinking about all our conversations and time and laughter, the words that came to me were intellectual humility. To me, when I think of you, Roslyn, I think of intellectual humility. Roslyn, your voice was, for me, always generative of new pathways, new and different pathways. To me, you always, in a quiet way, had that thinking, those sensibilities, always percolating. It was just part of you, within you. Roslyn, the way you listened and responded to our stories, be it in class or the study group, to me was timely, and I thought it was always a learning moment. It's always a learning moment. You know, Roslyn, I think we all miss working with your thinking, your ideas, your smile. I think you so miss, and your thorough commitment to community. And we know this. We know you're committed to community, to the people, right? And the different questions you brought to us regarding justice. To me, Roslyn, you always left us thinking about historical and present moments regarding, I think, one, Black living. Black living to me in the context of the graduate student experience, those moments, the manner in which you brought it together, right? And as Nana said, how that relationship, what it did to the university. Roslyn, I must say, to me, your presence was always sincere, always filled with concern, love, giving of the self. To me, Roslyn, your presence was always filled with listening, right? Listening and love. Our many conversations in the hallways, Anna and a study group, in class, to me, Roslyn, they bring their memories. And Roslyn, I'll always carry these memories. And two, particularly in times when I'm writing through difficulty, to think about some of our conversations. And I want to say, like, Roslyn, thank you for all of your help, because you've helped me in many ways, and in ways that to me is not going to be in the publications, not going to be cited, but the manner in which you help, Roslyn, builds such a memory. Roslyn, thank you for sharing with us your gifts, the gifts you nurtured over time spent at OISE. To me, you are such an example to faculty, students, staff. your work, your writing, to me, it reflects well on the whole graduate student experience, and it deserves such recognition. To me, Roslyn, you'll always be remembered. And we have nothing but admiration, appreciation, love, and respect for your personhood, your scholarship, your work ethic. And I just want to say with Roslyn, with enduring love, we say thank you for all your teachings, and we will continue to learn from and with you, Roslyn. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Simmons. Fatmata Kamara just want to make sure. Yes, you can hear me. Fatmata Kamara is Roslyn, one of Roslyn's former students and a friend as well at the TYP Transitional Year Program at University of Toronto. She's a doctoral candidate in the Department of Social Justice at OIC, University of Toronto.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say thanks to all of you that are here this evening. A special thanks goes to our studying group, and most likely to our professors as the SJE department for creating this platform where we can grieve and remember our loved one, Roslyn and Pamela. I don't know, it's hard for me at this time. It's actually hard to express myself. I met Roslyn in 2009 at TYP. We become so close. She became my mentor, my sister, my friend. She was one of those people who never said no to me. I am truly heartbroken. It is hard to think that my loving professor, who is so passionate and care for her students, especially those from the marginalized group. I remember Roslyn, our Saturday program at UIP. They created this program for us, the students with families. She's always early. They're so caring. They mentor our children. They even give them extracurricular work, whilst we, the parents, are engaging in our studies. Roslyn will call each and every one of us, one by one, in her office to make sure we complete our work. She's always there. Please, she's always there for us. She's so passionate to see me succeed. She's always around me. She's always calling me. When her mother died, 2 days to the lockdown, she called me, Fatmata, I just lost my mom. We arranged to meet at Dufferin Mall as usual. She knows my pain. Even when I'm at Oisy, she will find a way to come see me, push me around. No matter how tiresome I am, Roslyn will push me around. Say, listen, you can do this. And one thing she taught me is to say, never put your problem in your face. Fight to beat down the problems. Dress up your problems. Smile your problems. I said, okay, Roslyn. If I'm tired to see Roslyn, Roslyn will find a way to make it possible. We'll say, okay, what is the closest place to you? Can we meet at this place? What is the closest library? Can we meet there? If people were seeing him around at Oisy last year, before the lockdown, it's for me. We will sit at the office, me and Roslyn. Roslyn wants to see what I'm doing. And it's not just me only, even my children. She will also mentor them. Right now, as I'm talking to you guys, my children are just crying. It's just so unbelievable for us to lose a person like Roslyn at this time. There is no words that I can express myself to talk about Roslyn at this time. Me and Dr. Baker, in November 24, that was the day she called me to tell me about her diagnosis. She said, Fatmata, I've been diagnosed with cancer. I said, what? She said, yes. Well, listen, it's a lie. I will fight. I will fight. It's okay. Can you meet me at Dufferin? I said, no, Roslyn. You just come from chemotherapy. It's a lockdown. We can't meet now. I want her to rest. But she's always a fighter. She just wants to see me prosper. I had told her that I wanted to take a break. So that worries her a lot. Said, no, you can't take a break. You have to do this. It's hard to come back. That is the person that I lost. She said, I can help. I can help. But I know she's sick. I don't want to expose her. December the 2nd, I called her. I texted her. She couldn't reply to me. I was worried. I texted again. She couldn't reply. I thought she was angry at me. I called. Luckily, Dr. Baker called me and said, did you hear from Roslyn? I said, no. He said, Alana, talk to her. I said, maybe she's angry at us. We are going to find Roslyn. We started looking, but we don't know where she's located. December 25th, 24, I called again. And sister picked up the phone and says, I don't know what to tell you. We lost her. I can't believe it. Oh, Lord. My family and I will always to remember Roslyn, her words of thoughts, her gifts she showered us, the patience she gave me. She empowered me to create a foundation, a program that is benefiting my community today. She pushed me. She empowered me to go for a doctoral degree that I never thought of. I'm sorry to be like this, but it's hard for me to think of Roslyn. My heart will rest in perfect peace.
Okay. Fatmata, thank you very much for your touching tribute to Dr. Thomas. We're going to move on to to hear Dr. Melanie Knight, who teaches in the Department of Sociology at Ryerson University.
Thank you. My condolences to the Addo family. I'm thankful to be able to recognize both. I didn't know Pamela, but thankful to be able to recognize Pamela and Roslyn. And thank you to everyone who contributed to organizing this memorial today. Roslyn was a stellar scholar. I just want to say briefly, I'm going to speak more about our friendship. I met Roslyn more than 20 years ago when we started as graduate students in the MA in SESI. And I don't know how we became friends. I was thinking, how did that happen? I can't recall, but we did. And it was a friendship that throughout this, doing our MA and PhD, we grew closer and closer. Throughout our time as graduate students, we would meet up. I'm just going to speak of the friendship. We would meet up at Hart House at least 3-4 times a week in the morning at 7. We would work out together. Nobody was in there. There was a small room down on the ground floor. I don't know if it's there anymore, but Roslyn and I would meet there at 7. And Roslyn loved the treadmill, so she would do that. And we just would sweat and work. We would at least 3-4 times a week, and we would talk about everything, our fears, our goals, our partners, our lives. And at the end of it, we would feel better coming out of this place. Over time, I think I know why we connected. Roslyn loved making jams, jellies, baking, and I love those things. And she would make baskets of those and give those treats. But what I realized in all of this, she was also, a great mentor, but also someone who didn't judge. I think we need more of that. And she never judged me. At some point in time, we lost touch a little bit when she was in Grenada, and then we reconnected. And I was with her these last few months. And I hadn't planned on saying this, but I do now. When I was driving her to the hospital, she spoke of all of you. Joki, George, Nana. Very fondly, and the students. We were laughing. I wasn't part of the study group, but I knew of it. And even these last few months, she still spoke of it with respect. And I also want to thank Alana. I was with her during the end, and I don't think I could have done it without you, Alana, by my side to give me strength. So what Roslyn left me with, I made some promises to her, but it's to do better for myself, to not for myself, but she has left me with a calling that she did, and I want to do as well, to do better. So rest in power, Roslyn. You've made a great impact. You will be deeply missed. Thank you.
Dr. Knight, thank you for your touching tribute. Dr. Stan Doyle Wood is a professor in the Equity Studies Department at the University of Toronto.
I'd just like to send out my condolences to the Addo family. I didn't know Pamela, but I'm beginning to get a sense of Pamela. Pamela through everybody's responses here. I'd like to thank everyone for your presence. I try to think about what to say, and I've gone in and out of moments of shock and then tears and struggling with emotion, how to approach, what to say. I knew Roslyn, we were master's students, so we were together in our master's program under Nana and then under PhD. I remember, this is 20 years ago, and I remember the study group then and how Roslyn to me was, and always was, I saw Roslyn, although we were colleagues, we were student colleagues, and then we were colleagues also in terms of teachers. We both taught at the transitional year program. But early on, Roslyn was one of those folks, I see a couple of folks also here gathering that I saw back in 1999 and 2000 as mentors, you know, very much folks that I aspired to. And I remember Roslyn, you know, getting the position at the transitional year program, and that joy that Roslyn and enthusiasm and that fire that emanated from her body, which was a sort of which was a love, right? It was poetics attached to it, connected to it, and there was no sense of competitiveness there, because of course academia is a very competitive place, right? It was just there always seemed to be a sense of gratefulness that whenever had some kind of success, that it was our success, you know, and that seemed to spread among us. And I was so also overjoyed when Roslyn did get that position, and I thought, and then encouraged me, you know, and mentored me, and in moments of struggle, she was also there. I say there was a poetics because I try to, when I think of Roslyn, and I have Roslyn in my imagination here, in my body, my memories are in my body. Roslyn was, and it has been said, was a fighter and had fire, and that fire seemed to came out in ways which were I wouldn't even been able to. Previously, you wouldn't have been able to articulate it at the time, that of the ways in which that fire was carried by Roslyn. There was a uniqueness there, a language, and the way to the poetics of Roslyn's presence, and that uniqueness came out in ways that, you know, just the way Roslyn dressed, you know, Roslyn had this uniqueness to her, and I remember, one thing I remember with Roslyn was Roslyn's hats. And Roslyn had these hats that nobody ever wore, and I'm sure that if the Kardashians or the Kylie Jenners were on the scene, they would have appropriated it like that, you know, snap, you know. And I think Roslyn would know Roslyn's hats, and it was just, you know, it was just something you loved, you know, what also, but more importantly, it was the laughter that I remember of Roslyn, you know, and that smile of Roslyn. I don't think there was any photograph or any moment when Roslyn didn't have that incredible smile and incredible laughter, you know, that sort of gave me, we used to meet at the Future Bakery, you know, and I remember years back when I first got to the transitional year program, and Roslyn invited me to the Black Caucus of the transitional year program. I don't know whether that was actually a secret writing something, but it was she had that love of just bringing you in and giving strength to you in moments where, in the times when you felt alienated or struggled with everything, and particularly in precarity. And then we would continue to meet at the Future Bakery, and she always gave out a sense to me, and as a mentor, even when I'm struggling with precarity, with helplessness, with a sense of hopelessness at times, you know, despair, generated in me and conveyed possibilities and hope. And it's only recently that I begin to understand the importance of that and the power that is in that, because it is, of course, without that, you are not who you are today, and you are not surviving, and you simply, you know, we think of ourselves oftentimes as competing as individuals, and we talk, I'm sure, I know Nana has talked a lot about this, many of our colleagues here and comrades here have done also, but we do slip into that. We think that where we are in the moment is we did it ourselves. And Roslyn's memory, not past, but now alive and present, is a constant reminder, you know, that we continue, we are where we are, and we continue in relation to the collective and those loved ones who continue to influence us. I will leave it at that.
Dr. Dory Wood, thank you very much. Michelle Bellet is a PhD candidate in the Department of Social Justice. She's a teacher, guidance counselor, curriculum leader, and OSSTF branch president, OSSTF Ontario Secondary Teachers Federation.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the faculty at TYP, to Tom, Mahia, and Maureen. I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of Roslyn to thank Tom for believing in second chances and for giving Roslyn a second opportunity. I'd like to thank Nana for always engaging in community work, because it's through his community work when I was a teenager that I became involved in the community. I'd like to thank my colleagues, students, friends, and relatives of not only Roslyn, but Pamela as well. So I'm a close friend to Roslyn, and she was my mentor. I met Roslyn in 2005 at TYP in the old TYP building down on St. George Street. That building represents a sacred space of access, equity, and comfort to marginalized students who knew it as a place where adults genuinely cared and was glad to see and help students. I was not a TYP student, but I attended classes with TYP students who always invited me, you know, to the house. And I knew the associate director, Karen Braithwaite, through community work and involvement, and she introduced me to Roslyn. We became friends. And I think we became friends because Roslyn radiates positive energy. Her attitude was always upbeat. She was always happy and grateful, unselfish. She had empathy, was kind and giving. Roslyn's attitude and actions and her words demonstrated her personality. She was known to be helpful and resourceful, and the word spread quickly on campus among the student population. I think a commercial emerged from the lips of students. It was a commercial that I'm not sure Roslyn knew exists, but it goes like this. Have questions about equity studies, sociology, or literature? Just ask Roslyn. She's on the 3rd floor, first door, up the stairs at the TYP program. Roslyn was known as one of the go-to faculty member at TYP, but not only for TYP students, but for all marginalized students who heard that commercial. She was non-judgmental, easy to talk to. She spent time explaining different and difficult concepts to students. She listened to their ideas. She helped with their assignments, and she also edited their papers. Roslyn loved helping students. Monday to Saturday, she was helping someone. She also tutored in the program, as Fatmata talked about, and she was involved in community initiatives as well. Being friends with Roslyn, we enjoyed numerous activities like most friends do, live jazz music. She was a food connoisseur like I am, and we enjoyed going out to different restaurants, sampling food, going to the lake early mornings, you know. But in our conversations, as educators, we often spoke about our most vulnerable students. How can we differentiate our lessons to reach them? What are some of the hot topics that we can bring to students to engage them in a deeper and different set of knowledge that will build their skills? Roslyn was always optimistic. She believed every student could achieve their goal and graduate if only they had someone to mentor them. Roslyn worked tirelessly helping others. I will remember her as a community-centered leader, student advocate, mentor, confidant, but most important, in her journey, she stopped so many times to investigate inequities, trying to find solutions to social injustice, to help others, to share her joy, to challenge attempts to erase and minimize the self-confidence of marginalized students. Roslyn had class, style, poise, grace, and an unrelenting passion to lift others out of marginal spaces. Roslyn's life inspired me to focus on what really matters, helping others. There's this Jamaican saying, walk good. I affirm, Roslyn, you did walk good. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Rahel Walder Gihard Keys is one of Dr. Thomas' students from TYP. Rahel?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Whew, this is very, very difficult. up until now, I was like, oh, I'm going to be okay. I'm just going to speak briefly and move on. But after hearing everyone, it's been very hard, I must say, to hear everything that we've all experienced with Dr. Roslyn. But before I say anything, I just want to express my condolences to the Addo family as well. I'm sorry for your loss, and she sounded like an incredible woman. And thank you to the organizers today. I really appreciate the space that has been created for us to honor the lives of these women. It's really important for us to have these opportunities. So my name is Rahel, and I had the honor of being a student in Roslyn's class back in 2007 at the Transitional Year Program. It feels like yesterday, but it really wasn't. Roslyn was the first Black woman educator I've ever met in my entire life. And I almost didn't know how to respond to her, to be quite honest. It was a bit strange, to say the least. I did grow up in Toronto, low-income marginalized communities, and I just didn't have that exposure. I didn't have exposure to Black or racialized educators. So it really meant a lot to see her there and to see the Black and racialized faculty at TYP. I remember going to class. She taught me literature and contemporary issues. I just remember her constantly just giving me all this feedback around apostrophe, comma, punctuation. And I never, ever forgot them. I still have those papers and I look at them and I'm like, I could probably be an English teacher by now. But she was really persistent in making sure that we learned. She was really invested in not just our education, but our learning and our success in the academy at U of T. And she really wanted to prepare us for U of T because she knew something that we didn't know, obviously. And when we got there, we were very grateful for the rigorous training and support that we received at TYP. So Roslyn was an educator, and also she grew to be a mentor and a friend. I stayed in touch with Roslyn up until last year. She was always accessible, available. She taught social justice. She genuinely believed in it, and she practiced it to the fullest extent. She made sure that she was out in the community. I used to go into the community with her and talk to individuals who were thinking about going to university, but weren't quite sure, as to whether or not university was a space for racialized and marginalized students. And it really inspired me to see someone of her, she was just Black excellence, and she would just come into Weston Road, come into Jane and Finch, like she did not care. She was like, let's go. The university is a space for everybody, and we're gonna create that space. And she would literally create that space in her classrooms. I remember having my daughter with me, and I was a single mother, and there was a lot of parents. And, she would say, bring them to class. You can bring them to class and they're going to learn too. And she would give them a piece of paper and a pencil and say, let them write, let them color. And up until today, my daughter remembers these stories about our experiences with Roslyn and at TYP. And to be quite honest, I don't know if I would have completed U of T or gone on to do my master's if it wasn't for the support that I received from Roslyn and the faculty and community at TYP. And I am beyond grateful to have been a student and to have been a mentee of Roslyn. And there's just so much I want to say, but I'm still in shock. I'm still trying to process the fact that I won't be able to call her. We met last year before the lockdown, and we were having dinner and just laughing and talking, and she was encouraging me to apply for my PhD. She always pushed. She's like, you have to do it. You can do it. You're a scholar. You're brilliant. And just always gave positive affirmations. And I spoke to so many other TYP students, and I tried to put together something, with all the words that they had said, and it was so difficult because I also remembered her saying, "Be concise," and I'm like, how am I going to be concise in expressing the ways in which you've impacted all of us? There's just so much that has to be said, and so I know that so many of us students appreciate all the time and energy, the effort. She put her life into her students, into us. Like, I was probably one of the students. Someone mentioned earlier saying you saw her with a student on St. George or something, and I was probably one of those students. She had, let's go for a walk. I'm walking to Oise. I'm walking to a next class. Let's walk and talk. What is your paper about? What is this about? What is that about? Have you thought about this? So she was really, really, really dedicated to us and helping us succeed. Like, that was her commitment to all of us. So I'm grateful, and I hope that we will continue to have a space to express our gratitude and honor her life in whichever way that happens. And I guess I'm just still processing what's happened. It seems unreal. I'm thinking about PhD applications, and I want to call Roslyn, and now I can't call her. And that's really hard because she was dependable. She was always there and would make the time, regardless of what was happening around her. She would always find the time to support our pursuits. And I remember I was in Ghana for just over a year and a half, and I would call her from there and I would message her from there. Wherever I went in the world, she just would always reach out to me and just, how's it going? Do you need support? Keep me updated. So I'm just grateful to have had that experience and to know that she role modeled leadership for me and Black excellence, and that I can continue to embody that in the spaces that I continue to navigate. And I guess that's all I have to say. So thank you.
Rael, thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Dr. Maureen Fitzgerald taught with Dr. Roslyn Thomas for several years in a TYP course titled Contemporary Toronto Writers 2007 to 2009.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm unmuted. Great thanks to the George Day Study Group for organizing this. And I now know it's the NENA Study Group as well. I feel really honored to have been included in the remembering and grieving of the loss of Roslyn. And I feel so enriched with the increased knowledge and of those of you who were close to Roslyn, and also hearing of Pamela, two really remarkable women. Very, very, yes, enriched by this process. And even though I hadn't seen Roslyn in years, and it was a brief encounter at that, a chat that we had at the subway station, after subway station. But I think that we would all agree, we're all agreeing, she is one of those persons that stick to your heart. She's stuck to my heart. When I think of Roslyn, I think back to how awed I was by her sheer physical beauty, her tallness, her grace, her stateliness, her Blackness, but also from, of course, her inner beauty. that we've all been talking about. She was warm, she was sweet, she was generous. She extended that generosity to me, an aging white woman working past her best before date. I have to say, I didn't retire until I was 67 from the TYP course. When I told of Roslyn's passing to my partner, I explained Roslyn had been my TA 15 years ago in a TYP course, Contemporary Toronto Writers, that I taught. And then I caught myself with the arrogance of the way I had expressed our relationship. So arrogant on so many levels. First, by the way I positioned myself in the academic hierarchy. I was the teacher, she was the TA. And I think it's also thinking back and thinking of it now in the present context of anti-Black racism and all that I've been learning. It's an articulation that maintains, let's name it as it is, white supremacy. And I deeply regret when I make those sort of assumptions of arrogance and positioning. I regret that. I would like to be able to tell her that. Now I can only wonder how it was for her, a young Black woman in this academic business, which can be sometimes, as Stanley referred to it, very competitive, very grueling, very difficult. And while I have a sense she lived this experience, she lived it with, obviously what I'm hearing is with fierceness, with gusto, with hope. And she passed that on to other students. So the true story of that course is that we taught together, and she was, I'm sure, she was the better teacher for all that we're hearing tonight. The one who met students where they were, she listened and supported them on their academic journey. I think I was too centered on talking rather than listening in that particular course, and I regret that too. I thank you all for helping me know her better. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fitzgerald. So now we're going to have another music tribute music by Kobe.
Name Kobina Aqua Harrison. I'm very honored to be invited to be part of this celebration of the lives of such well-respected and beloved individuals. And initially I heard the names and I was sent photos. I asked to be informed of who we were here to honor and celebrate this evening, just so I'd be certain of who they were, because I didn't take this as just a performance or a gig, but this is actually a time that we are truly paying our respects, we're expressing ourselves, and we want to share our feelings, our experiences, and so on, and something about who they were. And then I realized that I did meet the professor before, and when someone mentioned her hats, I said yes, and she had a really cool hat, and great vibes, it was great personality, but I didn't know her well, but I did meet her before, and possibly Ms. Addo as well. So I want to say my condolences to the families and to all the friends. And I will play this piece. I was going to play something else earlier, but I feel this will be appropriate for everyone now. So. remember when we called each other and then laugh until we cry. Now and then I'm feeling just like the last time. Never ever say bye-bye. I'll remember you. You remember me. I'll be good to you. You're always on my mind. Now and then we hurt each other and then remember well, this won't be said again, that you and I will be always more than best of friends. I don't belong to you, you don't belong to me, but we belong together, that's the fact of a natural plan. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, lady, lady, lady.
Thank you, Kobe. Dr. Tanya Tichkowski is a professor in SJE, Boise, since 2006, and came to know and respect Dr. Roslyn Thomas through their work together with students.
Thank you, everybody, and for everybody who's organizing this, and for the friends and family of Pamela Addo. Thanks for your words, and I'm sorry for your loss. And I have a little bit I'd like to say about Roslyn. I first came to know Dr. Roslyn Thomas through graduate students who had experienced her supportive magic from the TYP program. And then in my past role as associate chair and graduate coordinator of what was then called Sociology and Equity Studies in Education, I was part of the hiring committee, the course that Njoki was talking about, where Roslyn taught courses, cultural knowledges, representation, and colonial education, and education and equity. I want to say this to Roslyn. Thank you, Roslyn, and I'm really sorry that you passed. I want to address my memories to you. When you were with us, and it was during times of few jobs, it seems like to me, I was one of your reference letter writers. And when I sent my letters to the potential employer, I also sent them to you. I have to say this is not a regular practice for me, but I'm glad I did it, since I always felt like you deserved to know how highly you were thought of. And I wasn't certain that you did know that. And I wasn't certain that you knew that even after I sent the letters to you. Also, it seemed to me that life asked you to handle a few too many difficulties. And I wanted you to have something that wasn't difficult and that wasn't a struggle. So I tried to give you a sense of my respect and admiration, hoping this offered you something to counter difficulties. I'm wishing you peace, Roslyn, and I'm wishing that to everyone who knew you. And to those who did know Roslyn, I'm sorry for our loss. a loss of a big smile, seemingly no matter what. Roslyn was always engaged and engaging. I know there are many previous students of Roslyn who have that smile of her engagement in their dissertation drafts, in memories of her encouragement to continue on in school, to remain connected, to help others realize their educational aspirations, and to do that despite all odds. Roslyn was committed to a sense that we could be more for each other and that we could make a better world. And she believed we could do this together through education. It seemed to me that Roslyn was always on the cusp of educational institutions committing to her, and then sometimes it didn't work out. This was another reason I wanted to send my reference letters to Roslyn. I wanted her to know that in a more just world, her commitment to education would be rewarded with reciprocity of recognition. I hope to honor Roslyn by keeping her in mind and her commitments in mind to recognizing and believing in the potential of others. She taught me that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tichkowski. Susie Albert is one of Roslyn's students at TYP. She was our English student back in the years. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, back in the years 2012 from the transitional year program.
I just want to say thank you for this moment, and it's really a pleasure to be part of this space. First, I want to share my condolence to the Addo family, even though I never really knew her, but I want to say my condolence to her, and I can imagine the pain that you're going through. For Roslyn, my greetings to everyone present here today, and I really want to say she was an academic soldier. Like, I remember her to be always strong, you know, and positive. Back in the years when I was her student, she gave me that encouragement to go strong in everything I did, to always be positive, even when there were times I really didn't have a direction. You know, she always called me back to order to straighten me up. So, like, it's really shocking when I got the news to find out that she's no more, you know. It was really a shock. This is never a time that we wish for, but her life was short-lived, you know. I want to say I thank you, Roslyn, for your passion, your cheerful smile that lights up those around you. Thank you for your encouragement, your advice when I came to you way back at the start of my educational journey. You always had time for your students and always willing to discuss their issues when they needed your attention. And sometimes, you know, we take, you know, those moments for granted, and we find out that moments we do share with one another may be the only memories we have to hold on to. So I really cherish those times. I don't really want to like emotionally break down, but I'm just trying to, you know, say what I want to say. Pretty much everyone has, you know, said everything that I really wanted to say, but I want to say if there's a place where the dead go to lay, I pray that Roslyn, Dr. Roslyn, you rest in peace. If there's a place where the dead go to stay and see the living, I want to say, please see the wind blow, see the ocean wave, see the sun shine, see the trees grow, see the seasons change, I honor, respect, and appreciate all the memories you left behind with your students. Maya Angelou quotes, she said, just like the moon and the sun, with the sanctity of tides and hope springing high, still arise. And Stuart Hope quotes, I am the sugar at the bottom of the English cup of tea. They relate to Roslyn in a way because I feel you are a representation of an educated Black woman that changed the narrative. And again, you will be remembered forever and respect to life. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Susie. Arlo, Dr. Arlo Kempf is a professor of equity, education, and teacher development in the Department of Curriculum, Teaching and Learning at OISE, and was in the study group years ago with Roslyn.
Thank you. And first off, thank you, Nana, for creating this space. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Sevgi. My deepest sympathies and respects to the families of both Pamela and Roslyn. I'm truly honored to be one of so many here tonight to say their names out loud. Pamela, Roslyn, thank you. Thank you for bringing us together tonight, for giving us this gift of community in hard times in order to honor you. I was shocked and brokenhearted to hear of Roslyn's illness and then passing like a crack in a piece of glass, and then sitting and sharing in the privilege of sitting and hearing all these stories tonight. That glass just shattered down, and it was so painful and beautiful and a relief. So thank you, everybody who shared ahead of this. I am reminded about how fragile community is when we lose people, how fragile all of this is, and frankly, at a loss for words for many of those feelings. Far too soon, we've lost a teacher and a fighter and a friend and a light. We've lost a light. We've lost a strong and a brilliant woman. So asked to speak tonight, I was still at a loss for words for some of those feelings. So I turned to some of the words of Rumi, a 13th century poet who writes on grief. He says, your grief for what you've lost lifts a mirror up to where you're bravely working. Expecting the worst, you look, and instead, here's the joyful face you've been wanting to see. Your hand opens and closes and opens and closes. If it were always a fist or always stretched open, you would be paralyzed. Your deepest presence is in every small, contracting and expanding, the two as beautifully balanced and coordinated as bird wings. And that's the end of the Rumi piece. I kept thinking about the idea of someone gone too soon and a life gone too soon. And yet listening to people talk, I think this is 5 lives. This is 10 lives of impact. This is so much more than so many of us have a chance to do in terms of, being present and filling in positive ways the world around us with the best of us. People talk about, Zoom fatigue. I've been to too many Zoom remembrances and funerals in the last little while, and I don't want to go to any more. But I can also say few, provide an opportunity to hear about such a rich and amazing contribution to this world we live in, contribution in the face of struggle, in the face of hard times, in the face of that fist that Rumi's talking about sometimes. So I turn to the US philosopher and author Jennifer Michael Hecht, who writes on death. And I'll finish with this. She says, we are indebted to one another, and the debt is a kind of faith. We believe each other into being. We believe each other into being. Roslyn, I believe you will continue to be with us. I believe you will continue to be with us. Rest in peace, rest in power. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlo, Dr. Kev. Safia, just correct me if I'm wrong, the name. Safia Gaher. Okay. Safia Gaher is an educator, labor and community organizer, and a PhD candidate in the SJE, department. Safia? I didn't see her in the chat, so what we're going to do, we're going to move on, and if she comes in the meeting, we'll be able to, at that point, hear from her. Dr. Paul Banahini Ajay is an associate professor and interim associate dean, graduate programs and research of the School of Social Work, Memorial University. Originally from Ghana, Paul went through the Department of Social Justice Education from 2004 to 2011, where he obtained his master and PhD degrees under the mentorship and supervision of Professor Day Nana.
Thank you very much. Once again, Nana, thank you very much for your leadership and mentorship. And thank you, Njoki, for the support that we've received. And thanks to Seb and the organizing group for putting together this a wonderful event. To the family of Pamela Addo, I say that I have my deepest condolences. It's unfortunate that I never met, Pamela, but being the father, her last name is Addo, and that is my mom's last name. I have no doubt that we will have connected in a very strong way. And as a Ghanaian tradition, I will always have called her my mom. So I'm really sorry for your loss. I mean, what can I say about Roslyn? No, moments like this reminds us of what really matters about life and the fragility of human life. I got to know Roslyn in 2004 when I started my master's program at Department of Sociology of Equity, and I remember getting to the last days of my master's program. I have submitted my master's thesis, and Professor Day have taken a look at it and given me feedbacks. And one of the suggestions was I need to work around my methodology. And he mentioned some names that I should get in touch with. So just as I was leaving his office, I saw Roslyn, who at that time was using the photocopier. And she could tell from my body language that I was stressed out. And so she asked me what is going on. And I told her about the feedback that I have just received. And I remember she smiled to me and said, "You will be fine." There is something about, the smiling of Roslyn, and I think that many people have attested to that. They are not something that you can simply, get from a book or, read it anywhere. It's a genuine and inspiring, care that you experience it and you feel like she really and deeply care. And those are things that sometimes can easily get lost in the academy, where sometimes it has a very funny way of bringing the best and the worst in all of us. But people like Roslyn help us to understand that there are things that really matters beyond, the things that we sometimes forget about life and keep chasing in the academy. In 2018, when I came to Toronto, Michelle gave Roslyn's number to me, and we had a conversation for about an hour about life in general and what we are aspiring. And it never occurred to me that 3 years later, I'll be talking about her death. I wish death would be around to see what it has done. And probably death will just come back and say, I am sorry, I picked the wrong person. But that is life. Life is a cycle. And we definitely know, for those of us who have faith and believe in afterlife, that she is in the right place. And as Nana said, that if there is a course at heaven, he's hoping that Roslyn will be teaching one of the course. And we are hoping that by the time we also join her, we will be one of her students. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Ajay. Kristen Pearson is honored to take part in a tribute for Dr. Thomas. While Dr. Thomas was pursuing her MA and a PhD studies, she was a graduate studies liaison officer at the Department of Social Justice Education. Christine?
I'm unmuted. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so what my position meant was that I got to get to know so many beautiful, wonderful students as they were going through their paperwork. I was going through the administration of GAs and admissions and funding and so forth, that side of it. And Roslyn, what I remember is having a discussion about how one gets a GA, a graduate assistantship, how one gets funding, how do students get funding, what is the process? And yesterday, I went online to look at her master's thesis on graduate assistantships, who gets them, how and why. And I remember her asking about this and talking. I don't know, just a drop in the office and talking about it and feeling the agony of too many students not funded, of a competition that is sometimes unfairly made for so many students. I remember her smile and her beautiful smile, but I also remember a strong look in her eyes about her caring about funding for students and for the chance for students to come up and follow their dreams and express their talent and intelligence. And I treasure that strength in her, as well as love, that smile. She was strong, she was truth-seeking. She was strong, she was gracious, and she was a gentle soul. And her strength came from her compassion. You all are in my hearts, and I express my deep appreciation to the family of Pamela Addo. I did not know her. And my great appreciation of Roslyn Thomas, who was a light and who is a vibrant light. We love you, Roslyn. You are in our hearts forever.
Thank you, Christine. Ms. Erica S. Lawson, a colleague of Dr. Thomas in the Department of Sociology and Equity Studies in Education at OISE, UFT. They were both graduate students in the program. So she used to be a colleague.
Thank you. It makes me sad that you said she used to be a colleague, because it really speaks to the way that potential friendships don't come to fruition because life gets so busy as we pursue the things that my friend Paul was talking about. So it seems fitting to me, though, that it's our study group, the circle, where we met Roslyn, where I met Roslyn a long time ago, over 20 years ago, and remember thinking, who is this beautiful, stately woman who brings such intellectual clarity and engagement and thoughtfulness? When we met in Dr. Day's study group the last Friday of every month, to have these really passionate intellectual conversations where I grew up, really, where I found my intellectual home. And she was such an important part of it. I'm just so glad to hear that she lived such a passionate life, filled with friendship and love, that she has so many students who admire her and respect her. And it makes me sad for myself that we weren't able to stay in each other's lives to be on that journey together. I like to think that Roslyn is among our ancestors, that she is teaching those classes. And I like to imagine her among not all of the ancestors that we admire, but especially all of the women ancestors that we admire. I think of Pamela in the same way, even though I never met her. She sounds wonderful. And it makes me also sad that I didn't know her and didn't have her in some way in my life. So here we are, in community, in grief, in remembrance to two outstanding people who had such an impact on our lives. And so I have to believe that this is not the end. These two wonderful people will continue to live within us, in our memories. The words that they've written will remain for us to go back and revisit and ponder and grow. And I want to thank you all for everything that you've said, which has touched me so deeply. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Mr. Oscar Aldemir has known Roslyn through the TYP from around 2005. One of their memorable experiences was traveling throughout Toronto recruiting students for the TYP program. She has been an instructor, a mentor, and a great friend to him. Oscar? Oscar? Okay. I think we're going to move on. We're going to go to Cindy St. Clair. Dr.
No,
Oscar,
Oscar,
so sorry.
Oscar is around. It's just
Okay.
I think his mic.
So we'll
his
wait.
mic is.
His mic. Do you want me to go with Cindy first and then go to Oscar after, Nana?
Okay.
Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry, Oscar. We'll go to you after. Dr. Cindy St. Clair, former staff and graduate of SJE, intermediate past president of the OAZ Alumni Association. She received a Master of Education and PhD from SJE, and she's a friend and colleague, or she was a friend and colleague of Roslyn.
Tony, thank you very much for that introduction. And I would like to thank everyone who participated in preparing this evening for us. But especially I want to thank Nana for caring for us, for making this opportunity possible, for connecting us as a big family where we can mourn, we can cry, we can laugh, and we can celebrate the lives of our beloved Pamela, Addo, and Roslyn Thomas. I will start off by first bringing greetings from the Alumni Association, because both Roslyn and Pamela were alumni of our association. I would like to say sincere condolences on behalf of the association to the families of Pamela and Roslyn. I don't know Pamela, I did not have a chance to meet her, but hearing the tributes this evening, I feel as though I've known her for years. And I wish her peace in heaven. My deepest sympathy and condolences to Pamela's sister Elizabeth and her family and her loved ones. I will speak briefly on Roslyn. We go back many, many years ago. And when Nana mentioned at one of our meetings a few weeks ago that she passed, my heart just sunk. And I still have not recovered. I still feel as though it was such a shock that I can't believe such a lively, vibrant person could leave this earth like that. I kept asking myself, how is this possible? Why God took her away from us? Roslyn is gone, but she will not be forgotten. She was dear, she was loving, she was kind, she was free, she was passionate, and we've heard all these words this evening. She was tenacious and she was unstoppable from the time I've met her. And I met Roslyn when she wasn't even a university student yet. This was 1993 in the pre-university program at the University of Toronto. We both started that program together. I usually sit in the front of the class because I'm short and I can't see, and I don't like when people's heads are in front of me. So I usually sit at the front. During the class, the professor asked us to introduce ourselves. And as I'm sitting, I heard this beautiful voice from behind me come in. And I said to myself, who is this person? Where is she from? 1993, I was all into accents and where people are from. I couldn't detect her accent. She was eloquent. I looked back and there she was with this beautiful smile, calm disposition, and just feel so confident in herself. I smiled. I never remember meeting her formally in the class because I dropped out. Roslyn continued on. Fast forward, in 2008, I was hired by the Department of Social Justice Education, which was formerly Sociology and Equity Studies in Education, short form for SESI. Many of my colleagues here are from that era. I was hired as the EA, the executive assistant to the chair. My office was just beside the chair's office in the open area. At that time, Professor Carrie Daly was the chair. People would pass by back and forth. Christine would come by, Professor Day would pass by, students, guests, everyone would be passing by. I just continue doing my work unless I'm asked for assistance. This one afternoon, at the corner of my eye, I felt as though someone passed by really swiftly, took a step back, came back, walked forward again, came back again, and she said, Cindy. And I looked up and there was Roslyn. And this was about 15 years later. And that same beautiful smile I remember in the classroom, I remember her. And Roslyn is a chatter person, as you all know. and I can be chattery sometimes as well. And so we started this long conversation. She told me how she completed the pre-U program. She finished the BA, she finished the MA, and she had just graduated with her PhD. I was so proud of her because, and I knew from the day I saw her in class that she had what it took. She was just a tenacious person, ready to go. I found out that in addition to being a mature student, both of us were sort of that mature age, our lifestyles and career paths were sort of similar. She was from Grenada, I was from Guyana. We had the sort of same idea of food and clothes and talking and growing up under the British system. I found out also that Roslyn worked at the university in Grenada and in Britain. And we were both EAs at the same time. So she has a non-academic background, care about students and understanding where they're coming from. I was in my MEd program at the time. I wasn't thinking of going for a PhD. I wasn't thinking of even going for the master's program. But I think Roslyn might have planted a seed in me at the time that I could do graduate work. She didn't have to say it, but just hearing her story and what she was going through. And I thought that was really lovely. I met her again in about 2010-11. Her name came across my desk and I thought, oh yes, Roslyn. So I looked and it was an application. She needed a signature from the chair. So I got the signature. I called her up. I said, come and pick up your application. It's ready. She came to my office to collect it and we had this long conversation again. She was telling me about the work she was doing at TYP and hearing some of your testimonials today and your experience with Roslyn. She was so proud of the work she was doing. She was so proud of her students. She talked about you all the time. And the few times we got together, she was so passionate about this program that she was constantly looking for grants and constantly trying to write papers and constantly looking for publications so she can make an impact in that road. She received a lot of, she wrote a lot of publications. And again, I said she was unstoppable. She never stopped. The other side of Roslyn was her love and flair for clothes, hats. Someone mentioned, two people mentioned hat this evening. She was just a charmer. Her life experience in England and growing up in Grenada just brought out our passion for hats and clothes and food. And we would have these little conversations, although short, but they were memorable because that was the impact Roslyn had on my life. About 2 to 3 years later after that, I saw Roslyn again. And this was at a breakfast reception at the Jackman Institute for Child Studies. It was an early morning, it was winter, it was cold. Roslyn walked into the reception wearing this big, beautiful hat, lovely coat, big belt, and she just commanded the presence. All eyes turned around at her and I'm going, that's my Roslyn. I saw her talking to the dean at the time, Julia O'Sullivan, who was just completely taken by her hat and her dress. Roslyn and I left that reception. We carried on our conversation. She walked me to the street and we promised each other that we will meet for coffee sooner or later. Sadly, that was the last day I would see Roslyn. We never had a chance to meet for coffee. We talked about so much of the things that we love, making Christmas cake, making with lots of rum, sharing it at Christmas time. Now she's gone and I would never see her again. I still feel that shock within my system when I heard the announcement. I will never see her again on this earth. I will never see her smile. Just like many of you, I can sympathize, I can feel your hurt. Although we did not spend much time together, I believe Roslyn had that impact on graduate studies and humanity on my life. She knows how to bring out the best in people. And I am so sad today that she is no longer with us. I hope that her work for equity, for marginalized students, which was her real passion, for students in the educational structure will continue. Finally, memories made will never be forgotten. Roslyn, I will miss you. You are the flower we will never forget. And I brought a flower that I'd like to share with you to remember Roslyn. She was a flower in our lives in so many different ways. And as we were speaking earlier about light and darkness, she's gone, but I still feel she's left light for many of us. She has paved the way for so many of us. And I went and I lit a candle, which I'd like to share, to just say, thank you, Roslyn. We love you. And hopefully we'll see you in heaven. And maybe we will have that course together. Maybe we'll have Nana there with us. He will be our Nana, and Professor Juan and Roslyn. We can all meet again there. So thank you. We love you, Roslyn, and I will really miss you. Thank you.
Dr. St. Clair, Cindy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So now we're going to, okay, we do have Remember Me by Michelle Sutherland. Michelle Sutherland is a doctoral candidate in the Department of SJE. She's an educator, published author, poet, and a dedicated mother of 2 boys.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Michelle.
Okay, can you see me though? Because I'm having a problem turning on the...
We don't see you, but we do see a picture of Pamela Addo.
Okay, so let me see if I can remove that.
I'm sorry, the reason Pamela's picture is there because we'll be sharing the slides while you recite.
Okay.
Okay, because I was wondering, because it's covering, I'm not able to, okay.
Okay.
Yes, we see you.
I was unable to turn on my camera because it covers the screen where I was able to see it. All right, so I just want to say good evening to everyone. Good evening to Professor. Good evening to all my colleagues. Good evening to all my friends who I haven't seen for such a long time, like Christine, Cindy, Dr. Paul. Good evening to everyone. Good evening. I just want to share my condolences to the families of Pamela and Roslyn. I'll be sharing 2 poems today, one for Pamela and one for Roslyn. Before I share the poems, I just want to thank Professor Day for reaching out to me to give me this opportunity and the space to share. I didn't know Pamela, nor did I know Roslyn, but when I listened to the tributes and the testimonies, I realized how divine this occasion is, because the pieces that I captured in this poem is not even, I didn't know them, so it was difficult for me to write. So I just want to thank Elizabeth Addo and Judith Addo and Pamela's mom for giving me some personal insight into who Pamela was. And to write the other poem, I just want to thank Dr. Leroy Baker, Michelle Bailey, Dr. Melanie, Harriet Acknowledgment, and I just want to thank Seth behind the scene who was able to help me with all the edits and stuff. So I just want to just make that clear that without the help of those people, I would not be able to put this together. But when I listened to the testimonies, when I listened to the tribute, I realized how much of what is described and said of these 2 wonderful scholars were captured in a summary in the pieces that I'm going to share. So the first piece is a tribute to Pamela. It's called God Knows My Name. God knows her name, Pamela. God knows every strand of hair that was on her head. He carefully crafted her personality and her spirituality, gifted her with a keen sense of humor and an increased faith as she battled with her illness. Pamela, God knows her name. He made her very quick and bright, with a vibrant spirit and very intelligent. He empowered her with an abundance of love for her family and gifted her with artistic skills and much creativity. Pamela, God knows her name. A resourceful, kind, caring, and generous daughter. God made her the best daughter a mother could ever ask for. A supporter for sisters, brothers, nieces, and nephews. Someone who gave freely of her time and love to each and every family member. Pamela, God knows her name. The meticulous editor for her family, friends, and others, a dedicated member of her church community, a servant at heart, she gave back to the community. Serving on her church choir was an outward representation of her inner soul. God knows Pamela. God knows Pamela. He made her confident, dedicated, strong, and resilient. Someone who loved to take photographs and enjoyed taking long walks in the ravine. Someone who had great admiration for nature, birds, and loved large bodies of water. Pamela, a lifelong learner, an equity and social justice advocate, someone who have great hopes and big dreams, someone who will never, never, never be forgotten. She has impacted our families in many, many ways. Her love, generosity, and beauty will always be with us. Pamela, 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 God knows her name. The next piece I'd like to share, it's called Remember Me. It's Dr. Roslyn, it's from Dr. Roslyn Thomas. Now again, this piece, it was as if the musician Kwebana and I was in the same space when I was writing this, because he said his line was like, I'll remember you, or something to that nature. And this piece, when I sat to write it, I was saying, God, give me the inspiration for it, because it takes a special gift to sit down and write something for someone that you don't know. And I wrote it in the voice of Roslyn. So as you listen, it is an acronym for her name, and it is her speaking. So this one is Roslyn speaking to us. I know you have said that you will not forget Roslyn. And in this piece, Roslyn is reminding you to always remember me. So this piece is entitled, Remember Me. Remember me as respectful, very thoughtful, kind, caring, considerate, full of passion and compassion for others. Remember me as a researcher, someone who loved to read, reviewed books, critique articles, and reports. Remember me. Remember me as someone who loved to read stories of Black authors and share these stories and books with my students and colleagues. Remember me. Remember me as an originator, someone who generated insightful, original, and authentic work. Remember me as an immense, remember me for my immense love for hats. Big, beautiful, and colorful hats. Remember me. Remember me as a lover of music, calypso, reggae, African rhythms. Remember me as an organizer, an overseer, and an optimist. Remember me. Remember me as a supporter, an individual who is dedicated to the success of Black youths in particular. Remember me as someone who had the ability to discern when a student is in a difficult place, and with empathy extended my hand to support, to transcribe, to revise what seems unclear. Remember me. Remember me as a supervisor, someone who understood a lot of what students were going through and championed the education recognition of others. Remember me. Remember me as I waited and worked with them so that they will fulfill their dreams and realize their potential. Remember me. Remember me as an educator, an excellent administrator, someone who was passionate about the importance of education and found ways to offer alternative programs to students within the community. Remember me. Remember me as a great facilitator and a mentor, someone who went above and beyond and supported students who were in my care. Remember me. Remember me as an equitable educator, someone who students saw as the leader to channel or change the injustice that they face and created strategies that made education accessible to students who were deemed at risk. Remember me. Remember me as a learner, someone who hungered for knowledge, someone who was not afraid to share my knowledge with people who I work with. Remember me as loyal to husband, loyal to family, loyal to friends, loyal to employer. Remember me. Remember me as a youth leader and a youth worker, a champion for the cause of Black students in the community, someone who believed that everyone deserved equal opportunity. Remember me. Remember me as someone who believed that people deserve a second chance. Remember me. Remember me as a nature lover, someone who, some of you would remember me as someone who loved things in its natural state. Remember me as a delicate flower, remember me. Remember me as a delicate flower, just like the flower that Cindy showed a while ago. Remember me as a delicate flower with hopes of growth and success. Remember me as a nurturer, one who loved to share food for the body, laughter for the soul, and information for the mind. Remember me. Remember me for my charm. Remember me for my laughter. Remember me as a capacity builder. Remember me as someone who, when I enter your space, oh God, I put the lights in that place. Remember me as I walk into that room and light fill the room. Remember me as your friend and a genuine guide. Remember me when you were sad. I am the light that fills that room. Remember me with joy and never with gloom. Remember me free from pain and illness. Remember me free from pain and sadness. Remember me free from disappointment, but instead, remember me with gladness. Remember me, Roslyn. Remember me. R for respect. O for optimism. S for supporter. E for equitable educator. L for loyal. wife for youth worker, and for nurturer. Remember me, Roslyn, remember me. Remember me, Roslyn, remember me.
Michelle?
Yes.
Thank you very much for that, for those two powerful pieces. We would, thank you. We would like to ask Mr. Oscar Aldermere. So we did introduce you. If you would like to say a few words about Roslyn, that would be greatly appreciated.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, I'm on my cell phone now. I don't know. Yeah, teaching in Vietnam, far away, so maybe I don't know if it's a connection. But however, it's a great honor to be here. Thank you all for inviting me to be a part of this moment of giving our condolences to both Pamela, Addo, and Roslyn. I met Roslyn in about 2004, 2005, when many of us who were segmented from, you know, a promising future we felt, and TYP gave us hope, the Transitional Year Program, which is an access program that gets marginalized people into the university. And TYP was a hub, a bubble. It was in the university, but a whole different world of possibilities for many of us that wanted a better life. In that house at 49 St. George in Toronto, we were a family in that house, in that home. And it was like no other programs that many of us have tried and was failed by. Programs that failed us, TYP never failed us. TYP gave us hope. In that home, we had a family, and our mother was, at one time, Karen Brathwaite. Sorry. And soon Karen was leaving, and what do you do when a mother leaves? You know, what could we do? We were falling apart. And Karen came hand in hand with Roslyn. And somehow we knew that Roslyn was like a new coming of Karen. It was like, you know what, we were gonna be safe, but we were skeptical at first, because Roslyn had this English voice. She was put together, she was pristine, she was proper, she was everything poetic. And we were describing it actually one time just like this. And someone said to me, you know, what are you doing? It's an alliteration. It's we're in the times of hip hop now. Just say she's popping. It's all kinds of P's. And I thought, popping? What do you mean popping? Like something cool, something culturally appropriate now? She's popping. It's like, no, she is actually like a Mary Poppins. She's like our Black Mary Poppins. And it was funny. We tried to gauge who Roslyn was, because we were always suspicious of the university, suspicious of the programs, suspect of a lot of people that were around us, because we found TYP to be an answer and a way out. But who was this person coming to replace Karen? And we soon learned that Roslyn was exactly what we needed. Roslyn was that force, the truth, that support, everything that about Roslyn helped us to make us better people ourselves. We went to blood, sweat, and tears. People talk about the sweat Roslyn did through her work and her academic scholarly work. In the work she did with TYP to engage with students, to share with students, to love students, to create programs for children of neighborhood people and children of students that were in the university through our homework club. We went north in the city to convince people, to recruit people, to talk to them, to tell them about the possibility of living out your dreams as it connects to being formally educated, as it connects to being in the best university in Canada. And we went east all the way to Scarborough. We went to neighborhoods, to churches, to community centers to talk about the possibilities of what you could be if you joined our program. Roslyn gave hope to people. I saw Roslyn cry. There was a break years after all this hard work. We missed Roslyn. I lost her. I didn't know where she went. We couldn't find her for years. Like, where's Roslyn? And that was break. And I saw her tears. After her sweat was her tears. She cried without tears though, because I saw it in her face when I said, Roslyn, where have you been? The university misses you. The community misses you. All the students miss you. We all miss you. Where are you? And she told me she was working in a bank. And I'm like, in a bank? We need you at the university. We need you to continue to inspire and to continue to give us that support, to give us the love like many others did, like Wanja Morelli, like Professor Hia, Horace Grant, Hartford, Arnold Itwaru, that made us community students who had failed many programs feel a sense of hope and was able to succeed and to accomplish things like Rod McCalco, people who we bring with us. I can go on and say so many things about Roslyn, but when we questioned who Roslyn was and we tried to make her a character like Hortense out of the novel Small Island, who saw England as this golden place, and as we tried to label her and find out who she was, trying to say that she was suspect, we found out we could not. And in the end, we concluded she was real and she was part of us. She was one of us. She was family. And as we say goodbye in a way to Roslyn, the indigenous writer Thomas King says the truth about stories is that is all that we are. And Roslyn's story is with us, and Roslyn is still with us, and we know her work and her efforts. Even in death, we can't say rest in peace because Roslyn will continue to work somehow. So I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity, and it's great to see you all. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oscar. We are at our last musical tribute of the night. So Kobe, you can go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. It's actually.
Okay. Oh, my apologies, because it says to me in front of me, it says musical tribute. Okay, so we go into the eulogy. Okay, so Eliana Reason. So Eliana is Dr. Thomas' niece.
Hello, everybody. Sitting here listening to everyone, it really warms my heart. I'm really sad, but I'm also happy. I want to say my condolences to the Addo family, and I want to, on behalf of my family, say thank you so much to Dr. Day and the organizers of this gathering, giving us this space to grieve with each other, but also celebrate the lives of these two accomplished and loved women. In our family, and I will refer to her as Auntie Roslyn because she's never been, doctor to us. In our family, Auntie Roslyn was, she was first our teacher. She was our mentor and our second mother. The person I am today is in large part due to having her in my life. Auntie Roslyn was born on July 18th, 1965, the fifth child to Irene and Benjamin Reason in St. John, St. Andrews, Grenada. As a young girl, she attended St. Joseph's Convent Secondary School. At a very young age, she excelled academically, and as such, she traveled to England to further her studies, where she studied business management and sociology. Several years later, she went back to Grenada to work at the university, but she also wanted to continue studying. So she traveled to Toronto to be with her sisters who were there at the time. There, she enrolled in the University of Toronto, where she completed her bachelor's, her master's, and PhD. She transitioned from student to faculty, where she was a senior lecturer at the TYP program. Auntie Roslyn had a passion for education, as many of you have attested to tonight. She was very passionate about equity studies. She devoted a lot of her time to writing and researching work, particularly those surrounding equity issues. Some of her happiest moments was when she would share with me, you know, oh, I have this new paper coming up with, well, she never referred to him as Dr. Day, but she would sometimes say Nana, or she would just say with my mentor. And when she said my mentor, I knew who she was talking about. So I was really honored when I started U of T. I'm sure Dr. Day does not remember me because it's quite a few years ago, but I was so honored to meet him because the respect that Auntie Roslyn had for him when she spoke of him, it was, you know, in my eyes, she was it, but to hear her speak of someone else with that it factor, it was really inspiring. Auntie Roslyn was instrumental to the Saturday tutoring program at TYP. That's where I met Professor Ahia and Professor Tom, amongst others. Some of the students who spoke tonight, I recognize your faces. I remember some of your names, even though I was not a TYP student. I was always trailing after Auntie Roslyn. I felt like it was my second home at U of T. She worked tirelessly to support her students. That's the one thing our family remember about her. She was constantly with her students or talking about them or having to meet them. And it wasn't just her students, but it was the younger ones, their children, or just other students who came to TYP on a Saturday morning, because she was just such an advocate of young people continuing their education or completing education, especially those from marginalized backgrounds. I just felt like it was her sole purpose to break down barriers that will prevent someone from getting a higher education or just having access to higher education. Outside of work, she was very devoted to her nieces and nephews. She was the cool aunt. She was the mom you really wanted because she just got you. She understood you. She introduced us to culture. My love for the ROM and the AGO started with Auntie Roslyn, eating out at restaurants from diverse cultures. That started with her. She was just always so supportive. 13 years ago, when I told her, you know, I'm going to move to Korea, my mom had a fit, but not Auntie Roslyn. She never questioned, she never wavered in her support. I had her blessing from the get-go. Her other hobbies included fitness. As you might have heard, she woke up early. Sometimes when I slept over at her place, I did not like waking up so early to go to Heart House with her to work out. She loved crocheting. She made a mean zucchini bread, and she has a green thumb like no other. Our family already miss her. Tonight was the first night I've looked at pictures of her since her passing. I haven't been able to. So we know that she has touched many lives, but when we talk about her in our family, we take a lot of comfort in knowing how much work she did outside of our family, just knowing the work she did with her students. And we know that her legacy will continue to live on in the work that you guys do. We remember her for her infectious laugh, her kind spirit, her compassionate spirit, her willingness to always, always help. She never forgot a birthday or an anniversary or a graduation, and our family miss her. So I just want to say thank you guys for creating this space to just celebrate her. So thank you very much.
Ileana? Okay. Ileana, thank you very much. To you, to the reason Thomas Long family, know that our thoughts and prayers are with you. Now we are at our last musical tribute of the night, Kobe. Kobe?
Yes, I'm here with you. Thank you.
No problem. It happens.
What I'd like to request is, is my volume, am I coming through clearly? Okay.
It's clear enough. Thank you.
What I'd like to request is if we could run the slideshow again, and then I want to play some music with that. Can that be done? And I'll just be my instrument.
So I'm just trying to reach the friend who just give me 30 seconds.
Please bear with us. It's almost the end. I know it's been a long night.
Okay, I will play nonetheless, and then if that could happen, that would be beautiful.
Okay, thank you, Kobe. Thank you, Kobe. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Kirk Mark, a member and elder of Dr. Day's study group and an associate of the deceased, to conclude with the closing remarks.
Yeah, good evening, folks. Thank you, Tony, for moderating, and Sev for organizing. What can we say about Positive Pamela, the gift from Ghana, and Regal Roslyn, the gem from Grenada? First, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all participants and speakers for your contributions towards the spirit of Pamela Addo and Dr. Roslyn Thomas. And the condolences to both families. Special thanks goes to Dr. George Day's study group, the organizing committee for crafting this tribute. And thanks go to Pamela and Roslyn for bringing us here together. Secondly, as we conclude this celebration of the lives of Pamela and Roslyn, let us call on our African ancestors to receive them and protect them and their families. Both are with us in spirit. They remind us that we must embrace an attitude of gratitude towards each other. We must seize our humanity to reach out to each other, since tomorrow is not promised. Lastly, I give thanks to Dr. Day Nana for his conscientious effort of community, bringing us together, and for all the people who have made the contributions. And I want to give him the last word to conclude. Nana?
Actually, I wasn't expecting to say anything. I just want to thank everybody for the time, the loving, and the words. I think you know that the two of them are in a better place where there's no pain, no suffering, no hardship. Give them to the Almighty to protect them and watch over them. And we know we have angels watching over us too. And thanks to the family in particular for sharing this moment with us. Thank you.
Are we going to the acknowledgement right now? Yes, okay. So acknowledgement on behalf of Professor George Day, Nana's Learning Circle. We would like to express our deepest gratitude to friends, colleagues, relatives, and to all those who have shown love and given support during this time. Like I always say to my students every day, take good care of yourselves and of each other. It's very important during these times. Thank you, Nana, for creating that space. And that was a very good way for us to connect and to celebrate those beautiful souls like you guys mentioned. Sev?
No, I just want to say have a good evening, and thank you for being here again, and thank you for the support. So yeah, take care all.
Thank you.
Folks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Day.
Take care.
Everyone.
Take care. Go with you wherever
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for being there.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you,
Take
Josh.
care.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
you, everyone again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take care.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Yes.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Watch it.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Hey, Oscar. Oscar.
Thank you for your
Hey,
music.
Oscar, how are you? Long time.
Yeah.
Cindy, it was nice
I don't want to leave. I wonder why.
Michelle, that was great. Cindy, take care. Bye-bye, Demi. Bye-bye, Christine. Take care for everything. Thank you. Everything you did. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Manina. Thank you. Fatmata, thank you. Nana, take care, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nana.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
To say.
Boko na say.
Yeah. Who watch your pa?
Inyo yedawasi bebre.
Alon. Thank you.
Very beautiful.
Kobe, thank you very much.
With all my Steph. Thank you so much.
I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you. You're such an amazing professor.
Yes.
You pushed me beyond my capabilities. And then I realized I can do all things through Christ who give me the strength. So I just want to thank you.
Amen.
It's a lot of people today.
And now that's it.
You.
Yeah.
You have a secretary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, bye, everyone.
Yep.
Bye.
Miles, say hi to Maury.
Yeah, I will. Bye, hello.
Hey, man. Good to see you. Best of
Bye.
luck.
I don't want to leave, but I guess we better. We've had a lovely.
Christine, amazing to see you. And Marlon, good to see you.
Man.
Thank you for your poetry, Michelle. Thank you for music.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Christine, thank you.
Hey, Michelle, can you share that poem?
Yes, I
That was wonderful, my dear.
Which one? Both of them?
Both of them.
Okay, I can.
Please.
I'll send it to Professor Day.
Yes, please.
Yes.
No, it just add more chance to me, but it's worth keeping. Please.
Okay.
Thank you. We hope
Good night.
But Timo, your name was on the list, but I didn't get through to you. Your name was on the list of person to connect, but I didn't get through to you. But I have your number. I can call you after. We need to talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fatmata, how's it going?
You disappear.
Professor Day, how are you?
We should get this kind of platform.
Oscar, that was a long time.
I'm in English in Vietnam.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Nana. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I need to leave now.
Okay.
Is that Demi? How are you?
That was a very successful one.
Should I end this or should we just like, yeah?
You can end it.